Live from Kokomemle, this is Joy News, and this is the AM show, the first best show on the block this morning. My name is Sweetie Aboshi, and I do this with Benjamin Akakpo. And this morning, I want to tell you what we have lined up for you. Of course, we'll start by serving you the AM News, which is the first news bulletin on the channel. And after that, we'll review the newspapers with our guest. Our guest today, Dr. Kwame Asan Sante. He's a political scientist and the head of European Studies at the University of Ghana. And then Dr. Jabir Mohammed is a senior lecturer at University of Ghana Business School. Both gentlemen will help us to review the newspapers and the stories captured in there. Of course, Muftan Abdullah will bring you sports, and then we'll pivot into our big stories. We have a number of them today. We'll start from the Member of Parliament for Otafo, Vincent Ekwasefua, who says he will file for a review of the Supreme Court's ruling which dismissed his application for an injunction against the suspension of the Chief Justice, her Ladyship Justice Gertrude Torkornoo. In fact, he says he'll wait for the explanation for that two-third majority decision that ruled against the MP's motion to halt the process concerning the suspension. And if it doesn't make sense to him, he will file another motion. We've got this on our radar this morning, but that's not all. We'll also look at the Northeast Regional Security Council, who yesterday started a search for displaced victims of violence in two communities in the Pungurugu and Binduri districts. More than 1,500 residents fled to live in their farm fields and unknown bushes after both communities were burnt down in renewed chieftaincy and land violence. Exactly what's going on there, what are the details, and what are authorities doing about it? We'll bring you the intricate details later on when we get into our big stories. Also, we know that the process to elect a new pope for the Catholic Church begins today. And this has become necessary following the death and burial of Pope Francis. As of yesterday, all 133 cardinals arrived in Rome to begin the secretive process. And we have that on the beat as well. And of course, we'll bring you AM Business. And today, we'll focus on iron ore. Now confirmed in Ghana's OT region where expectations are high. How are we exploring this? And of course, we'll bring you some drive-bys as well. And you are invited to join us with your comments and your thoughts across all social media platforms. We are Joy News on TV. The AM show is sponsored by Waylead Properties, providing quality housing at affordable cost with flexible payment options. Folks, you want to stay with us this morning, starting with the AM News. Let's get right into it. This is the AM News. Details now. 9 people have been arrested in a police raid at Kaneshie in the Adanse North District over alleged illegal mining on a site reportedly under the protection of national security operatives. The arrest follows claims that youth in the community were mining dangerously, despite earlier reports that the site was being secured by national security. Nana Ojima joined a fact-finding mission to the area and filed this report.
The police raid at Kaneshie was prompted by intelligence pointing to illegal mining activities in the area. According to the police, they fired warning shots to get the persons working at the site to yield. Deputy Regional Police Commander for Ashanti South, Chief Superintendent Cephas Arthur, confirms some persons were mining in the area put under national security protection, but the police are unable to confirm their identity.
For the time being, we cannot say they are national security operatives. At least we have now commenced the investigation. And as part of investigation, we take people's identities, what they do, and other things. To the best of our knowledge, which is also subject to further investigation. Some were mining, that's per our information.
Unlike the alluvial small-scale mining that involves excavators, this mine does rock mining where deep holes are dug into the belly of the earth in search for gold. Under this system, simple tools are used to excavate rocks containing gold for processing. According to the Ashanti Regional Security Liaison, Captain Retired John Kwame Jabari, the security operatives seized the site due to the mode of operations.
They don't have all the requisite license to operate here. And what sparked our interest is the use of illicit drugs and the crime rate over here and their mode of operation, the hazard towards they themselves. That got our interest to come to this place.
An investigative team looking into the matter has visited the area and picked necessary information from stakeholders. The Akatechiesu Cooperative Community Mining is also in contention. The National Security Operatives earlier visited the area and certified their certificates and that of foreigners employed there. The mine has since resumed operations, but investigators who went to the site as part of investigations raised concerns over the authenticity of documentation. Chief Superintendent Osman Alasan led the team.
For the media, you can look at it. They are operating with fake documents. They have 5 different companies that they are working, operating on the process. And yet, they don't even understand the content of their own file.
Mr. Usu, who doubles as owner of the site, has refuted the allegations, challenging the security operatives to prove the documents are fake.
We have gone through all processes and have been certified by the EPA, Minerals Commission and others. We have genuine documents covering operations. The minister instituted a team and they have been here to certify our documents.
Joy News sources with the 18-member committee on mining instituted by the Lands Ministry has reviewed the Akatechiesu Cooperative Community Mining has all documents covering the mine. At the other site mined by the community, all documents but operational permits are secured. Meanwhile, the investigative body is concerned about the mode of operations at the Akatechiesu Cooperative Community Mining. For Joy News, Nana Ochima.
The Ghana Police Service and the Electoral Commission continue to blame each other over who is responsible for the delay in declaration of results for the 2024 Ablekuma North constituency election. The collation of results has stalled for the past 3 months after party supporters stormed the Greater Accra Regional Collation Center to disrupt the exercise. The police responded to the matter at a press conference yesterday, and James Savaji will give us the details.
The Electoral Commission, after a final failed attempt to collate the Ablekuma North parliamentary results, declared that they will not make any more attempts until the police can guarantee their safety due to the growing violence of some party supporters. A week ago, the EC indicated that almost 3 months on, they are yet to hear from the police. The police, however, at a press conference on Tuesday insisted they are ready, awaiting the EC to fix a date.
As Director of Public Affairs said, if the EC is ready, we are always ready to provide the security. So I believe that they will take it up with the Inspector General of Police, but the service is always ready to provide the needed security support for any exercise, whether it's the EC or any other institution.
The Electoral Commission, on the other hand, also says they are yet to receive an invitation from the police after submitting a letter to the IGP. Dr. Srebo is Deputy Electoral Commissioner.
We've written to the police. We went and met the police about 2 weeks ago, but we were told that the IGP was in there, so I updated the IGP of the developments. So the commission is waiting for us to conclude the secretary of the police. Then we'll go and meet the police and see what happens.
But why is it taking so long? Since you got in touch with the police, it's been...
That one I cannot answer, because I said that we went there, the police said that the IGP wasn't there. So we are waiting for them to say that the IGP is back, so let me just meet whatever discussion that we will have.
Once you meet with the IGP and the two parties have a way forward, we should expect a date to be set for that to be done.
Well, once the IGP gives an assurance that they can protect the system, we'll be able to go.
But you have no idea when you will get that feedback from the police.
That will depend on the IGP.
Meanwhile, the CID press conference have also been providing some updates on investigations into the kidnapping of 2 Ghanaian women in Nigeria who have since been rescued. The CID's initial investigations have linked the incident to romance scam.
Suspects Peter Okoye and Christian Emeka, both Nigerians, indicated to police that they were in Ghana in the year 2019 to work with QNet. They left Ghana for Nigeria in 2020, but Christian Emeka returned to Ghana in June 2024. Peter Okoye, Christian Emeka, and Basil Okonkwo are all Nigerians. They were into romance scam both in Ghana and in Nigeria. They operate through their Facebook and other social media handles. These suspects met the two victims, Anastasia Bedu Atta and Evelyn Sewa Konedu, through their Facebook accounts. Suspects posed as white men who wanted to marry the victims. The two unsuspecting victims became convinced, accepted the marriage proposal. The suspects then lured them to Nigeria, and the victims traveled separately but ended up at the same location on the same day on 22nd of April 2025. While we celebrate our success stories, it is also a good time to call on all of us to exercise extreme caution when we are online so as not to fall victim to fraudsters who take undue advantage of unsuspecting persons. Do not believe everything you see, hear, or read online. As always, be on the lookout for scammers and fraudsters who seek every opportunity to prey on your innocence, ignorance, or failure to do due diligence. And finally, we wish to advise that you report any suspicious activity to the police for appropriate action.
The two victims, according to the police CID, are still in Nigeria, assisting the Nigerian police in investigation. A number of suspects have also been put before court over the alleged abduction of 3 Chinese at sea and the killing incident at a sand winning site in Esiao in the central region. James Savage's report for Joy News.
It's been nearly 5 years since parts of the Kaneshie Central Market was ravaged by fire. Since that incident, the market has not recorded any major fire outbreak. For a series on breaking the fire cycle, my colleague MFA Adeti reports on the measures helping to keep the Kaneshie market safe.
The Kaneshie market fire in 2020 left behind scorched stalls, displaced traders, and millions of cedis in losses. But it also sparked a shift in how the market approached safety. In response to the devastation, authorities established a dedicated fire service personnel right within the market. They now carry out routine inspections and offer regular safety education to traders in the market. Mr. Robert Jerry Agbadem, Deputy Managing Director of the Ghanaian Market, outlines the strategies that have helped avert further disasters.
We run a 24-hour service as far as our maintenance team and then the security teams are concerned, and so we have security personnel on duty 24/7, and so they ensure that every now and then there's somebody manning the entire market. All the shops, we ensure that they are closed. Nothing is left unattended to. And so by the time before any fires spark or there's any sense of fire or smoke being detected anywhere, the security personnel and the maintenance team are able to detect it before it becomes something huge. More so, we have fire extinguishers, assembled at vantage points where as soon as there's any spark of fire, quickly it's attended to. The market women are also been educated to ensure that they are the first point of call when it comes to securing their wares, and so most of them have fire extinguishers. So in absence of our security team and then the maintenance team, they are also able to put out fires when it should occur.
Madam Eva Mason, a trader and secretary to the Market Association, tells Joy News that she and her colleagues now feel much safer.
We are very safe in Kaneshie Market. One, the Market Association is very strong and we always collaborate with the management. So everything is okay with us here. And secondly, too, we meet every Wednesday. So when we meet, everybody brings his or her challenges to the executives and then we solve it. We have the fire service personnel here 24/7. They are always here and they go around and check. And with the security, every evening when we close and we go home, they come and check that switch outside. And everybody has fixed the switch in front of the shop. So they go around and check. If it's on, they put it off. So Kaneshie Market, we are safe 24/7.
And Edna Osei, one of the main victims of the fire 5 years ago, shares her story of recovery and renewed hope in a market that now stands more prepared than ever before, while encouraging her colleagues to insure their goods.
For anything not to happen, we have meters. They've given us individual meters that we are using, that if anything happens, yours will just go off so that it will not affect a different shop. Those with extinguishers, they should get new ones to fill them. I've seen it myself. They come here, I see them. So I would like to urge everybody to do same, because you don't know what will happen tomorrow. With management, I would say they are doing well, because after the incident, they came to tell me to just get a camera. So I've installed cameras here, that if anything happens, they can capture and know what happened.
Here, we educate the market women mainly on fire safety and how to use their electrical gadgets, and also advise them whenever they've closed their shops, they should make sure all their electrical appliances are turned off. We also go around to check whether some of them are using these gas cylinders, electrical cookers and other stuff. If right now there is a fire here, we have fire extinguishers. So we try to use it to fight the fire at its initial stage. If it's escalated, then we call for help.
As markets across the country continue to face the challenge of fire outbreaks, the Kaneshie Central Market stands out not because it was spared by chance, but because it chose to change. For Joy News, Emefa Akosia Adeti.
That was a fantastic report there from Emefa Akosia Adeti. Now moving on, it's known as the Tree of Life, feeding families, curing illness and sustaining generations. But in the Upper East region, town of Binduri, the baobab tree is dying. In communities like Bansi, changing weather patterns and environmental decline are crippling a tree that once held entire communities together. Today on Climate Focus, Joy News' Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin brings you a story of fading roots, lost livelihoods, and a call for urgent action. Yes, more.
We used to have this baobab tree here that produces fruits that we use. The fruit, we could use it for other things like drinks and also sell. However, we also use the leaves for soup. The dry leaves, the fresh ones, all were used in preparing food. And it was helping us a lot, because we won't waste our time to go and buy what we need to prepare the soup, apart from ingredients, of course.
And a dimbo one leaves are they will provide leaves
We are concerned because the baobab tree isn't producing fruit like it used to, and the leaves have thinned out. We need to figure out a solution to restore its health and productivity.
Because there are the one that
across the savannas of northern Ghana, the baobab tree towers like an ancient guardian, but today these giants are in distress. In Binduri, especially in the Bansi community, farmers are seeing the trees slowly die and are no longer producing fruits.
When I moved into this house, the flourishing baobab tree was a valuable resource for us. We would harvest its leaves to make nutritious soups. However, over the past 3 years, the tree has struggled with poor fruit production. To make matters worse, whenever it does produce fruit, pests seem to appear, further diminishing its yield. This decline has been concerning, and finding a solution to restore the tree's health and productivity has become a priority. The cause of our baobab tree's lack of fruiting is unknown, and we can't tell if it's diseased.
Baobab leaves are an important part of meals in northern Ghana. The fruit is full of vitamin C, but now some baobab trees have stopped growing leaves.
The baobab tree is no longer yielding enough leaves and fruit. You will need to buy them elsewhere. Additionally, the tree's shade is diminishing and we are unsure what's causing its decline.
All right, yeah, so economically, we will harvest the fruit and sell. People buy the fruit and prepare local drinks. Some too use it as because it's because of the sour nature of it. Some people use it to prepare teas. Others also use it to mix with flour to prepare porridge. So people used to buy, we harvest the fruit and they'll buy it. And also the leaves. The leaves also is nutritious. And so people buy it and prepare soup. So we used to sell at least, if it is up to that time, we'll get money out of it. We'll make money. We used to make money out of it. And it was a huge tree. So it could have the fruit more than 500. And so if you harvest, you make money.
Experts say there are many reasons. The weather keeps changing and windstorms happen without warning. Trees that lived for hundreds of years are now falling because they can't fight these problems.
The tree's branches are fragile and prone to breaking in strong winds due to its weakened state.
It's a storm that came and pulled it down. And as I was telling you, traditionally, it helps as a protection. All that it happens in the night. All that it happens in the night, the time that nobody will be under it. So we were sleeping in midnight, somewhere around 1 or 2. Then we heard a sound, bam. When this sound happened, we ran out to come and check. I personally was inside. So I came down and then it was already condemned to this level. So it means that as tradition goes on, as they are worshipping it as a protector, it means that if it is in the afternoon time, at least children would have been under it and it would have affected. But because it doesn't want that kind of name, it doesn't want that kind of evil to attach to it, then it fell in the night. So I think that is how we have seen the importance of it, and then we are mourning. Actually, we are mourning. Traditionally, we are mourning, and that is why we are in black.
Some farmers are asking for help. They want research and protection for one of Africa's most important natural resources. Unless urgent action is taken to steady, restore, and protect, the tree of life may become a tree of the past. A report by Mohamed Nuruddin.
Climate Focus is brought to you by Joy News in partnership with Youth Bridge Foundation, bridging gaps for positive youth development, and the Climate Development Knowledge Network.
Spend Mother's Day with your mom without having to cook the meal, drive her around, or entertain her yourself. Joy FM will do all that for you at the Safari Valley Eco Resort for a Mother's Day out on Saturday, the 10th of May, 2025. Hannah Odame was at the resort and tells us more of what to expect.
The roses may wither and die. The words in the thank you cards will fade. But the memories to be made at the Safari Valley Eco Resort with your mother will forever be cherished. General Manager for Sales and Marketing at the Multimedia Group Limited, Max Fuga, breaks it down.
We acknowledge the role our fathers play in our lives, but mothers are special. And mothers need to be celebrated in a special way on Mother's Day. So this year, Joy FM in partnership with Safari Eco Park have decided to lift the celebration of Mother's Day a notch higher. We have decided to organize this to give you the opportunity to celebrate your mother. We started today with 200 seats, but as I speak to you now, we are left with 100 seats. So what are you waiting for? Just call the front desk of Joy FM, buy your tickets, and then come and pamper your mother. Remember, we are providing free transport from Kokomemle to Safari Valley and back to Kokomemle. There's live band, there's outdoor activities, and then, of course, the food, the sumptuous food that is being provided. In fact, I will call it loaded lunch for your mother.
Talking about the sumptuous meals, let's hear from the head of the food and beverages, Jonathan Amate, who promises customized meals for Mama.
I'm sure you've been catering for your parents throughout the year. Mother's Day is approaching. Please allow us, give us the honest. Let us pamper your mother on Mother's Day. Now, you may be worried. You may be thinking these people may use GMO. No, we don't use any of those stuffs. They are going to give your mom what is rare on the market. Here, the farm is right in front of you. You can see what we are plucking and putting on your plate. Give us the opportunity to serve your mother that day. Let us take very good care of your mother. Even if you get here and what you want is not on here, our chefs are right here. They are going to walk to your table, ask you exactly what you want and how you want it, and make it accordingly.
Say Thank You to Mama comes with a free ride from the premises of Joy FM to Safari Valley and breathtaking photo sessions. Say Happy Mother's Day to Mama in an adventurous way at the Safari Valley Eco Resort.
Anna.
I am Hannah Odame for Joy News.
Okay. Hi, how are you? I can't touch it again.
Well, that definitely got me smiling. I want to see what I can do for my mama. That takes us into Business Update now with Benjamin Akaku.
Our business updates are up next, and we take you straight to the currency market for starters. Let's get into our stories now. An economist, Professor Patrick Esuming, has challenged government to develop specific plans on how it intends to reduce Ghana's unemployment rate through the 24-hour economy policy. His comment follows President Mahama's assertion that the 24-hour economy will reduce the unemployment rate from the current 14.7% to under 5% by 2034. Reacting to the development, Professor Esuming said, although the goal was achievable, government had to come out with a clear roadmap on how that could be realized.
In terms of realms of possibility, is that possible? Yes. But I think you need a little bit more planning and strategy than that. I think the president needs to tell us how many people graduate out of our universities every year, how many people are joining the workforce, before you think about how many people already finish and they still haven't gotten jobs. Then you begin to tell us what is the route. So when you say you're going to reduce the unemployment rate to 5%, what percentage is going to come from government services running additional cycles, or what is the industrialization strategy? What is the entrepreneurship strategy? So it is feasible, but I think merely saying that you do that doesn't mean it's that. I mean, we've heard such nice stories before. I think we just want to see the specific plans. It seems to me that they are taking their time to put that together. And then after they've done that, then they hopefully they'll put out a document, then we begin to see how exactly it's going to be done.
Now, a senior finance lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Benjamin Amwa, is optimistic the Ghana cedi will continue to strengthen against the dollar with the continuous aid of the central bank's gold purchase program. According to him, Once the Bank of Ghana continues its purchase of gold, it will send a positive signal to investors about the non-reliance on the dollar to manage the country's reserves.
Yeah, the stability of the cedi, yes, one can attribute it to what is happening currently on the macroeconomic front of the economy. But you see, globally, the dollar has been experiencing some difficulties, right? So if you look at the cedi's performance in the setting of the international currency space, realize that naturally our currency will attract some interest. We should not also forget the fact that once we keep on purchasing the gold, it provides some assurance and confidence to investors that our reserves is not based on the dollar, which is having challenge on the international market, but it's rather based on the safe haven currency called gold. So that, insulates the cedi from what we are experiencing. If we had compared a situation where we have kept our currencies in the dollars. So what is happening is that now the dollar is having some challenge, and the go-to place now for investors is to hedge in the gold. So if you have a central bank that is posting increased gold tonnage, the chances are that investors will prefer to keep their funds in such a currency for such a central bank than to look elsewhere. So in the midst of all the factors, one can at the moment assign the fact that the gold purchase that Bank of Ghana is undertaking is also contributing to the strength that we are seeing in the Ghana cedi.
Let's check out our commodities market now. And that gets business out of the way with yours truly. Handing over back to Sweetie Abochi.
And it's a wrap for the AM News Bulletin on the AM Show. The conversations begin starting with the news review segment. And today we have the two doctors joining us. We're right back on your screens. This is the news review segment on the AM Show. I have a question, Benjamin. What's the English name for bullfruits?
I've heard everything from buffalo to whatever, but
yeah.
if you want people to understand, you would simply say bullfruit. And I can understand why bullfruit would be on your mind this morning, especially with our, producer Derek Ekosam munching on some at this very moment and throwing an invitation to us live on air.
Yeah, to come and eat bullfruits.
That is wickedness of the highest level, but we shall interrogate those after we are done with this.
Yes, we will.
Yeah.
And I'm actually salivating already. I want to get a bite of that bullfruit. But
wait. Since we started on this note, it just reminds me that it's been a long time. When was the last time you saw Oblayo? Do you know Oblayo?
Oh, I did some recently.
Rocks?
No, okay, what I did was ekwegbemi. The tiny one, right? The corn with it.
Yeah,
Oblayo is a big one.
There are the bigger ones.
Yeah.
There are the smaller ones.
Yeah.
My point is, I've not seen that thing in like
Really?
God knows how long.
Now they make the powder in some packages. In the
Those
malls,
ones
so
are
you can make it yourself.
newfangled.
I love doing that.
Masa.
I'll do ekwegbemi for you with milk and groundnuts.
Ekwegbemilize me.
Folks, what do you usually have for breakfast? Let us know. But let's introduce our guest to you this morning. Right before I do that, I want to remind you that the AM show is sponsored by Waylead Properties. And like we always ask you, if you're thinking of a rewarding investment that you can engage in, then Waylead Company Limited is your preferred choice for such investments. Waylead Company Limited is a real estate company with several developments to its credit here in Accra. And you want to invest in our new development, Willow Lane, where elegance meets tranquility in the heart of Accra. We provide quality housing at affordable costs with flexible payment option. At Waylead Properties, we also provide you 24-hour security, reliable power supply, and other social amenities to make your stay a memorable one. These are the numbers to call for more information: 0240-111-119. You can also visit www.waylead.org for more information. And our guest joining us this morning, Dr. Asan Sante. He's political scientist and head of European studies at the University of Ghana. And we also have Dr. Jabri Mohammed, senior lecturer, University of Ghana Business School. Good morning, Dr. Asan Sante.
Good morning, Ben, and then my friend Jabril and our viewers as well.
Dr. Mohammed, that's a very colorful background you have this morning. It reminds me of my disco days. Welcome aboard.
Good morning to you, Sweetie, and good morning, Ben. Good morning to all our listeners.
We're going disco dancing.
Hey, Benjamin.
All
right, gentlemen.
So let's.
Mommy, you're laughing at my background.
We're teasing you for your background. I don't know whether I should expose myself. Do you know, Sweetie?
Yeah.
I've never been in a disco thing before. Yes.
No way.
People have you?
Oh, I mean, yeah. When I've lived.
Dr. Mohammed, have you been in a disco before?
No, maybe we have to go together.
Oh, that means you're on the same page.
No,
okay.
At this point.
Dr. Asan Sante. I know back then there used to be all these, high life and people.
Oh, mine. Back in the day,
what's the matter?
Man. And we had afternoon jam as well.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
And we're bashing Mahama for, he did say that he's going to run a 24-hour discotheque. The commentary that was pouring in during the time he said that was not very pleasing to people. Now, why would you be running a discotheque in the afternoon, in the morning when people have to go to work? Doc?
I never commented on that.
Okay.
I never commented on that.
Okay, gentlemen, let's pick your quick thoughts for us this morning. Dr. Mohammed, you see what you brought us to this morning. Dr. Mohammed, I'll start with you. Your quick thoughts for us.
Well, I think that gradually the economy is getting back to track. We are seeing a stable currency. I think the cedi is appreciating against the dollar and other major trading currencies, which is a good sign to businesses, individuals, organizations, and households. I do believe that we need to have that translated into prices very soon. We still have most of the prices being up, especially transport prices. It is time for us to have a formula, just like we have a formula for adjusting our utility tariffs, to begin to adjust transport prices. That will comprise of the currency, we can have spare parts as part of it, component of it, and other essentials that constitute transport pricing. So if we begin to have that, I think that we can begin to have stability in that sector as well.
All right. Dr. Asan Sante, your thoughts for us?
Yeah, today I want to look at the 7 nominations made by the president to the Supreme Court. Last year, I'm sure all of us were alive to the fact that there was a heated debate as to whether we should cap it, the number of justices at the Supreme Court or not. And most people who spoke at the time, including my good self, were of the view that there are too many judges and that we needed an upper ceiling, even though the Constitution provides the minimum that we can have. The upper ceiling is critical. because it calls for a whole lot of things, including finance and the rest of them. So I was surprised that after that conversation, the president has nominated 7 people to the Apex Court. I am not saying this to undermine their chances of being judges and all that, no. But to be consistent, I am of a different view. That I thought that the president would have hastings slowly. Let us have a conversation, and then we know the exact upper ceiling so that we can get there. But if you begin to move away from the conversation, then it becomes a problem. Because look, we have said it, that look at established democracies and all that. There are examples there. America has 9 judges who sit at a go on the Supreme Court. Why is it that we have 14 and still counting? So my view was that the president should have slowed down for us to have a conversation so that we will be able to set the upper ceiling. Once we do that, it's going to help us in a number of ways, including ensuring value for money. These people will retire and we'll pay them their last salaries till they die. So if you put in more, then there's a problem. 2, once you have an upper ceiling, a time will come, you realize that a regime or a government may come into office and will not have even opportunity to change anybody. Sometimes you can only have 1 or 2. And at the end of the day, to save the country and the court, all these political attacks that somebody has packed the court and all that. So I think I still maintain my position that we need a cap, and that the nomination, the president should have, slow down a little bit for us to have a conversation before this.
Thank you, Doc. Let's get into the papers now, sweetie.
Yes, let's start from the Ghanaian Times newspaper. And 3 major stories here that we'll get into. I'll read a bit of details out and then we can get into it. But on the front page, drug abuse among varsity students, 24% hooked on tramadol, research reveals. Ghana to grow non-traditional exports by $10 billion, according to President John Dramani Mahama. And government declares 701 diplomatic service passports invalid. In fact, all 3 stories are in the middle page, so let's get right into it. Ghana is aiming to increase its non-traditional export earnings from the current $3.5 billion annually to at least $10 billion annually by 2030. President John Dramani Mahama has said. And this ambitious target, the president said, would be achieved through value addition, industrial expansion, and fixing long-standing trade bottlenecks. Okay, so that's that for the first story. And the second one, talking about drug abuse among varsity students. And about 11.4% of university students in the north have been involved in misuse of tramadol before. Out of the number, 24% of them exhibited signs of dependence, according to the Journal of Substance Use and Addiction Research, an international research journal. And the minister said these findings highlighted the susceptibility of young people to substance abuse and its potential consequences for the region's socio-economic stability. And I think this goes beyond the northern region, but the research is focused there. And the last story, government declares 701 diplomatic service passports invalid. The government has cancelled the diplomatic and service passports issued to a total of 701 holders with immediate effect, saying such passports are no longer valid for international travels. And the cancellation of these passports was necessitated by the failure of holders to comply with the government's deadline to return it as directed. Actually, this news broke yesterday, and I believe we've all been following. But the question to you both doctors, let me start with Dr. Asan Sante. Have you noticed among your students the dependency on tramadol and other narcotic drugs?
I'm not aware of that, as in that I have, physical example or evidence to that effect. Okay. But things like this, research like this, come to us and we get to know what is happening. So I will not be surprised.
Right.
But we as a society, we must work at this. This fight cannot be left to the university alone, because we have to start from the point, the first port of call when we're looking at socialization, from the home to the church, to the mosque, the shrine, to the school, where we inculcate values that are important, that will develop children to become the best for themselves and for their society. So you are not interested in leaving the matter with the university. But once it had come into the domain of the university, I know there are institutions within the university that would deal with this that I can trust. So all of us must get onto the scene and be able to help in dealing with this problem head on. And the state should support this effort very well, because there are a lot that the state put in training people at the university. There are a lot that society also give towards the training of the youth in the university. So I'm not sure you want all this investment to go waste. We need to be able to do the needful. I move on to issue of diplomatic service passports that have been revoked. I think it is a good decision. Deadlines are deadlines. You either meet the deadlines or you suffer the consequence thereof. So if people decide to keep the passport to themselves, today they will have an ordinary document that cannot be used for anything. I am cool with that, because you see, there are rules of engagement when you are possessing a document of this nature. Do ABC so that you can, the state can also further your interest for you. If you don't want to do, what do you expect the state to do? A good decision, it might be sustained so that people will learn it the hard way. The issue of non-traditional exports that we want to put emphasis in to raking the necessary revenue for the state. Good, sure, but my view is that more often than not in this country, we come out with the nice policies, but we don't evaluate the policy to see whether they are worth pursuing or we need to throw them away. So we want the policy to be shepherded to its logical conclusion, so that whatever the rough edges there is, we are able to deal with them head on. It is a good thing, but value addition, when you talk about this, I just ask myself, are we in this country? We have said this thing time and again, that we want to add value to our products and all that, but we add nothing. I always say that if you give me opportunity to run this country, I will run this country using cocoa alone to cure unemployment. Because when you add value, there are a lot you can gain from cocoa. Cocoa, chocolate, Milo, the beverages, the creams that women and everybody uses, and the rest of them. Why are we here when we have so much just value addition? This brings to my knowledge, or it reminds me of a work that we did for the previous government. Yes, regarding the use of cocoa and other, things that we have in this country. And we started off with cocoa. That look, there are a lot this state can rake in terms of cocoa. When we are selling, we sell the intangible. We get the tangibles, sell the beans. And the intangibles, there is nothing that we derive from it. You will see companies, countries advertising their commodities and using Ghana premium cocoa. We are saying that bring some cent or dollar to the state and all that. I don't want to mention names. We did it with some government officials, and we handed over the document to them. Government never acted on it. And today, this document has found expression in AU and is being developed at the highest level. It will push down the throat of all of us here. And you ask yourself, where did it originate from? Here it started. The gentleman who led the work, finally, the AU had called him and is doing stuff with this. Why do you want to waste knowledge when you have them here? Please, this government, sit up, and we are ready to support.
Okay. Dr. Mohammed, so that's what the president is saying, that our exports will not just be about cocoa and gold. We will export our innovations and more processed goods than raw materials. Your take on that and the other two stories?
Yeah, I think it's a step in the right direction. In recent times, we have to ensure that we increase our competitiveness. You cannot increase your competitiveness if you don't add value to the goods and services that you have. So if the president is saying that he wants to concentrate on that, that is a very good step. And I think that the policies, the rules of engagement, regulations and everything must be in the right direction so that everybody can fully benefit out of it. I think that it's not just only cocoa. If you take shea butter There are several things that in the value chain that you can get out of shea butter. You can get cooking oil. You can use even the roughage to do fertilizer or manure. You can use almost everything that comes out of shea butter to be able to produce your goods and services and make life better. There are several people even in the north currently working on to add some value to shea butter to be able to export to generate a lot of revenue for us. So I think that some of these non-traditional export commodities, we have to fully concentrate on them and work very hard to improve their value and create an employment in the value chain process. Can we imagine how many people this can employ if you're able to have a company, a proper company that runs out? In the past, in the 90s when we were growing up, there was a particular company called Kasajani in the northern region. And it was just only concentrating on producing the oil and exporting. Can we imagine if they were supposed to be involved in the full value chain process, how much we could have actually bring to the country? So we have to work very hard to improve some of these things. Now, to the issue of the tramadol, I think that it is becoming alarming in the north. Recently, I saw a policeman being arrested with packages of tramadol being sold in packets of the northern region. And I think that people are actually abusing it, and it is affecting the health and the well-being of the people. You will see that a young person is standing on the street shouting, not just for anything, just because the person has consumed tramadol or something like that. To the extent that it is eating into our universities, that is very alarming. And the research results shows that a number of people, 11% or 24% is actually very high if university students are involved in this. And those involved, are they only female or they're male? They're both. And we need to find a lasting solution to that. I think that the university authorities and even external people, all those who deal with drugs, we have to ensure that if you are bringing something like that, you have to be certified. If it's not certified and you are caught, the whole place should be confiscated and you are made to pay a fine. If you are able to put in punitive measures, we'll be able to track some of these troubles that we have. These are the human resources of the country, and we are gradually depleting them, and it is not the best way to go. Now, on the issue of, I think that there's one particular case again.
Government declaring 701 diplomatic service passports invalid.
701 diplomatic passport invalid. If you are given an opportunity and your time is over, surrender it and go. Why is it that you still want to keep it? Is there something special about it that you don't want others to benefit from? In as much as you are occupying the position, there are now new people occupying the same position. So you have to relinquish what you are holding for the new people to occupy it. So it is good that the government has actually revoked it by force. So because you aren't being a citizen, you are just being an irresponsible citizen by holding on to it. So it's a good step in the right direction that the government has finally revoked all of them. So next time, even the current government officials, you'll be aware that when you leave office, you have to surrender as part of your rule of engagement. If you're handing over, such a thing should be part of it. It should not be separated. When you are handing over your documents, hand over everything, including diplomatic passport to the new coming government. You should not be chased to be asked to bring it back to the government.
Well, thank you so much, gentlemen, for those quick reflections. I think I'll pause here on the Ghanaian Times newspaper. On the back page, though, horticulture game changer for economic growth and scenes of yesteryear museum unveiled at Gomwa Potsin. And that takes us to another paper now. I think, Ben, you have the Daily Graphic.
I do, and on the front page at the Graphic Business Stanbic Bank breakfast meeting, Agric value chain needs reforms. Stanbic Bank chief executive, that's what he says, and that took place yesterday. The Mirror's Mother's Day buffet at Oak Plaza Hotel. Patrons urged to reserve tickets. Supreme Court dismisses injunction against CJ's suspension. Experts push for sustainable Agric practices to enhance food security. On the back page, many healthcare facilities in Ghana face significant wash challenges, which is where I'm going to start from. And then Apollonia City begins rehabilitation of Oyibi Apollonia Road, which is an interesting development, actually. But many healthcare facilities in Ghana still face significant water, sanitation, and hygiene challenges, despite the progress made. Some of the challenges are insufficient access to safe, reliable water resources or water sources, inadequate toilet facilities, including water supply, sanitation facilities, waste management, and hygiene practices. The Director, Public Health Division of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Franklin Esiedo-Bekwe, who disclosed this, said healthcare-associated infections remained a significant concern, and the healthcare sector in Ghana faced funding constraints. I believe COVID taught us about how WASH is important, but you know, these pandemics are always lurking just around the corner. Every 10 years, we are told, thereabouts, there's something that pops up. How ready are we for the next one, which will come at some point? Apollonia City begins rehabilitation of Oyibi Apollonia Road. A real estate company, Apollonia City, has commenced rehabilitation work on the Oyibi Junction to Apollonia Road, a major step towards enhancing accessibility and connectivity for residents of Apollonia City and its surrounding communities. The 6.5-kilometer road passes at the front of Apollonia City to Apollonia Town. The rehabilitation is a response to long-standing concerns about the state of the route, which is a connecting route to Apollonia City and the neighboring towns of Oyibi, Apollonia, Bonaparte, and other adjoining names or other adjoining areas. It's interesting when I see Bonaparte because that's part of Napoleon's name, Napoleon Bonaparte. And Ghana, you have Russia here, you have all these kinds of places. I highlight this not because I have any particular interest in Apollonia City, but the fact that we want more entities, especially corporate entities that can, to help. If all these entities were helping government, you know, with a little patch of road here and all of that, I don't believe things would deteriorate to the point where they have in the past. Quick reflections on these two before I get to other stories. I'll start with you, Dr. Asan Sante.
Yeah, I'll start with horticulture. Planting of flowers, vegetables, and gardens in your house. It's a good thing. It gives us very beautiful ambience apart from everything. And then they also help to supplement the kind of things that we need in terms of what our intake of, fruits, vegetables, and all that. These are things that if we pay attention, we can generate a lot of resources from, and it can help everybody. So I am for it. And I want government to support such initiatives so that we can do it more and then make our society better. It can create jobs for people. It can also create what? A means of livelihood. And above all, than what? The country can rake in serious resources for development. Supreme Court and then the dismissal of the application there by the lawyers who filed a certain process there. I always believe, as a student of democracy, that whatever that concern that one has and you want to deal with it, use the law. So a lot of noise making and all those things do not matter. Just go to appropriate forum, seek redress, and redress will come to you. Thank God, those who went to court, they have redress now. That is the way to go. So the demonstration, those who also went on demonstration, I love it because it's part of your right to express yourself in that way, provided you follow the rules of the game. Once you do that, I have no problem. If you want to continue demonstration, you will continue in spite of the fact that there's going to be heavy downpour in this month and all that. It's fine. Enjoy it. It's part of the physical exercise you need, and it's part of your democratic right. But let us always remember that there are rules governing the conduct of these things that we do. Let us observe them, and that is it. Oyibi Apollonia Road, City Road Development. Brilliant policy by a private developer. I love that when individuals take up the responsibility to support the state in developing the whole country for ourselves. It's good. There are a lot of examples. I visited Boston, and then I saw how beautiful their city was, and I was in Boston Parliament. So I asked the speaker, what is the magic behind this? That it seems to be very much apt. And he said, look, The people in this society, anytime they feel that government has to do something and the government is not forthcoming, simply because maybe there's a resource constraint, they take it upon themselves, do it, and then later government will reimburse them. What I learned from this is that if we're able to do this, and government will be faithful to that type of agreement that we'll do and you reimburse. At the end of the day, because people have put in their all in making or developing that facility, they will pay attention to its usage and its maintenance. And that culture we need to learn in this country. Provided also our government will be faithful with such type of arrangement, so that at the end of the day, people are reimbursed and they have the capacity to do more. Issue of hospital and a number of infrastructure that they lack in pursuit of their responsibilities. You go to hospitals and you realize that it's dry. It's a place without water. It's a place without very standard toilet facility and the rest of them. Sanitation becomes a problem in a health care. Then obviously we have gone to the state of nature. I mean, there is nothing to write home about what we see there. So I am of the view that these things, we must take them seriously and address them head on and make sure that that culture of maintenance we inculcate into ourselves and maintain the little facility that you don't need more. The few that you have in terms of facility, maintain them and then keep it neat at all times. It will save everybody and save the little resources that we use to develop this.
All right. Dr. Mohammed?
Yeah, so I will start with the agri value chain. I'm very happy that the banks are beginning to talk about agriculture and the fact that they will want to come on board to sponsor the agricultural sector. Right. That is a good step in the right direction. So I think that Ministry of Trade and Agribusiness, Ministry of Agriculture, and the Presidential Special Initiative on Agriculture and Agribusiness, they need to step up their game so that they can be properly supported. I think businesses who are in the agricultural value chain should take advantage of it and fully benefit out of it. It's a good step in the right direction. For Apollonia City, I think that it is good. I mean, we have to begin to think outside the box. It is not just only government who can take care of everything that our needs. Businesses and individuals must begin to take care of certain things by themselves. You go to certain communities, the houses are properly developed, yet the roads are not good. Meanwhile, those who have built the houses around the area can equally do some gutters in their homes so that they can connect with each other. And they can also buy some chippings and pave the roads for themselves. So if you are waiting for government to always come in to do some of these things for you, it's going to take a very long time. Meanwhile, when you look at the southern sector, chippings are very cheap as compared to even the northern sector. A truck of chipping in the northern sector can be sold for about 8,000 plus. If you come to Accra here, 3,200, you can get a chipping. So at your home, if you get a small bitumen and you pour it down and you pour the chippings on it and you ride on it frequently, I believe that with time, the road is going to be fixed. And you do some drainage in front of your house. Another one also does drainage in front of their homes. Right. At the end of the day, you are going to have a better homes and a better places to live. So let's take the initiatives by ourselves. So I applaud Apollonia for beginning to do that. And finally, on the issue of the wash, I mean, you go to hospitals and there are challenges with water, there are challenges with sanitation. I mean, so what are you going to do? At the end of the day, you are going to even further take infections. Instead of going to be cured, you are going to take infections. So I think that hospital authorities must begin to wake up, and we have to begin to make sure that we have constant water supply, make sure that their washrooms are very clean, and make sure that everything that they need to make the place a healthy place, like a health facility, it has to be provided. So that should be the first and foremost of everything. Okay. Aside any other issue, we have to concentrate on that.
Right. Gentlemen, those were just two stories on the back page. I'm going to blaze through the rest quickly and then take your reactions. Agri value chain needs reforms. That has already been tackled in a way, so I'll move away from that story. I'll go to page 26, and it talks there about one of the conversations we're going to be having this morning. The Supreme Court. So Supreme Court dismisses injunction against CJ's suspension. An injunction application that sought to halt the suspension of the Chief Justice, Justice Gertrude Saki-Tokonu, by President John Dramani Mahama has failed. In a 3-2 majority decision yesterday, a 5-member panel of the Supreme Court, presided over by the acting Chief Justice, Justice Paul Bafobone, dismissed the application for interlocutory injunction filed by the Member of Parliament for Otafo, Vincent Eko Asefua. Justices Bafobone, Isifumoro Omoro Tanko Amadu, and Emmanuel Yoni Kulendi were on the majority side, while Justices Professor Henrietta Mensah-Bonsu and Ernest Yaogau dissented. The court gave its decision after listening to submissions from the Deputy Attorney General, Dr. Justice Remsai, who opposed the application, and a former AG, Godfred Yeboadame, counsel for the applicant. There's also Charles Bissiu and Diowusu plead not guilty, granted 400,000 Ghana cedi bail. And former presidential staffer Bissiu and one other person standing trial for corruption-related offences have pleaded not guilty to the charges filed against them by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. The Criminal Division of the High Court admitted the 2 accused persons to bail in the sum of 200,000 Ghana cedis each, with 2 sureties, one of whom must be justified. As part of the bail conditions, the passports of the accused persons are to be deposited with the registry of the court. They have also been ordered to report to the Office of the Special Prosecutor once every month. And we know the conclave to elect a new pope starts today. Unfortunately, Kenya's cardinal will miss that papal vote because of ill health. He will not be able to participate in that event. And I'm talking about John Cardinal in Jue. There was that attack on Sudan's port. Sudan paramilitary attacks leave key city without power, and this is not the first drone attack that has happened in recent times. Again, I want to highlight this, especially because of Dr. Asan Sante's interest. Togolese opposition leader rejects Nyasingbe's new role, and the opposition in Togo has denounced the controversial appointment of the President of the Republic as head of a new powerful executive body. On Saturday, Faure Nyasingbe, who has been in power since 2005, following the death of his father, was granted the new title President of the Council of Ministers by Parliament. In this role, he holds increased powers, including the possibility of being re-elected indefinitely for a 6-year term by the MPs. Opponents have condemned the appointment as a, quote, constitutional coup, which they say could mark yet another setback for democracy in a region already plagued by military coups. So those are the ones there. Germany's Merz wins vote. This was the first time that the person was not approved. First time. He had to go through 2 slots before he got in. I think what I'll add to all of that, I'll not read anything else from the papers. I'll just add these 2 bits from the Joy News portal online, and then it's a wrap for me. One is on the new code of conduct. Daniel Yao Domelevo, former Auditor General, he says, "We love gifts too much. Public officers are paid to live within their means." That's what he says. And then we also have the CDD's Dr. Kojo Pumpuni Asante, who says, new code of conduct, Mahama should have rejected the 2 donated vehicles, not handed them to the state. Those 2 thoughts there. I'm sure you remember the Kanazue incident, the Ford saga many years ago, before the 2016 elections. Any thoughts, gentlemen? It's a wrap for me on that paper.
I'll start with the new code.
But the thoughts have to be very brief, incisive, straight to the point. Right.
Yeah. The new code is a good idea because it dovetails into the requirement for good governance. Good governance requires us that we need rules to govern the conduct of people, especially when you are in public office. Right. So a thing of this nature is very good. What I will urge the government to do is to maintain the momentum and sustain it forever. But it shouldn't end there because, yes, it is for the ministers and appointees as well. But remember, for it to bite and be inherited by any succeeding government, we believe that it should be put into law so that it stays as an act with all the necessary sanctions accompanying it. Once we do that, then we are serious about fighting certain ills within the public sector. So the code is good. The issue of the Togo story, the third term agenda, fourth term agenda, and all that, it becoming one too many. And this gives people the opportunity to try what I hate, military regimes, all right? Because when you rule, and you rule in such a way that you offend the sensibilities of those who own power, I'm talking about the sovereign will of the people who own power, you take it from them, and then you want to perpetuate your existence forever, then it becomes something problematic. But that is not to say that we are, urging military to come in, that people must stand up and resist such ills in society and make sure that those who sit in parliament, normally they get this done through parliament. Parliament will pass a law and elongate your tenure and all that. Parliament must act and act very fast and think about the society, that they owe the society a lot to maintain the peace and stability in that country. Togo has gone through a lot of problems, and I believe that Nyashingbe should stop this and then walk the people through the path of democracy, and that when his time comes to an end, he bows out. Let me tie this one in.
Just a quick point on that. He came to power following the passing of his father, not through any particular, and people in Togo some people have listened to have said that this is not some sort of family government. You remember the Olympios and everything that has happened. Yeah, my interest here too has to do with Alassane Ouattara in the Ivory Coast, or Côte d'Ivoire. Interestingly, he also came into power, you remember Gbagbo having to go through all that he did. The same circumstances that were used against Alassane Ouattara are now being used against, I've forgotten his name, I think he's Tijani or something. He's a former Credit Suisse, boss who is trying to become president. Some clause in some 1960s document is being used against him to say that he is not a citizen. When in fact the Ivorian team, that would mean that then some of those that won the last AFCON wouldn't qualify to be. It's just interesting, and we sit down and watch these politics in the sub-region.
You see, politicians have a way of working against their own opponent. In Ghana here, Kwame Nkrumah deported some people from Ghana to Nigeria, claiming that they were Nigerians, even though they were Ghanaians. So we have such ugly examples and all that. But what we are saying that parliaments in every country should make sure that we don't have politicians who want to temper with the constitution to elongate their tenure. And that brings me to the conversation in Ghana here, where the opposition is saying that they have a certain feeling or they have some information, they say intel about that, this government trying to go along the third term agenda. For me, it's nothing but conjecture. There is no point. Who has seen any move in parliament that suggests this? Who has seen any move in court? They say that they will go to court and test. If you say that, it's a sort of a statement that the court cannot take. Are you saying that when a matter of this nature is tabled before the court will just endorse it and all that? Come on, our judges, they know their law. They have fidelity to the law, and they owe the society a responsibility. So that conversation, they should throw it away. If they are in parliament, they've seen something, they should say something so that people like us will rise up to the occasion. Other than that, they should keep it as conjecture and nobody want to believe.
Dr. Mohammed, brief thoughts, please.
Well, Togo issue has been a long-standing one. I think foreign Nyashingbe, I think ruled about 36 years, and the son is also taking about 20 years now. So
you're talking of Nyashingbe Eyadema, his father. Four is the current president.
Yeah, Four is the current president. Yeah, Nyashingbe ruled for 36 years, and Four is about 20 years. So if you put it together, that's like 56 years. So if we were born 56 years ago, we have not known any family that has ruled to go outside this particular family. And I think that it is time for us to begin to crack the whip. The people of Togo deserve more and deserve better. They should rise against the inflation and ensure that he doesn't elongate his tenure anymore. They need a new face that can come in to transform the country. The country has been lagging for a very long time. Why should we continue to hold such a thing? And if you look at our code of conduct, it's initiated by His Excellency. I think it's a very brilliant one. I have read through copies of some of the issues in it, and I think that if it is practiced to the spirit of the latter, everybody is going to benefit. Like he said, we need to put it into law so that it's going to be binding on everybody. any government that comes in. We can only review the law and ensure that it works. You know, I'm also not particularly happy about the 20,000 Ghana cedi, what do you call it, a limit. You know, someone can decide to divide the gift into several pieces. I can't give you 20,000. The next day, I can't give you another 20,000 because it's below the limit. It should just be that if you have, we don't accept gifts. If you come to University of Ghana Business School, we have our code of conduct that speaks about gifts and everything, how you should declare it, and the nature of gift that you should accept. It can even just be a card, or it can be a message to thank you for your services. It should not be monetary in value.
Okay.
So we have to answer that. So let's review it and ensure that some of these things are taken away so that we don't entertain any monetary value in most of our activities. That is what is breeding a lot of corruptions in the country. And the issue that the president accepted 2 vehicles and donated same to the food, I think that he should not have accepted it.
Okay.
Because if you begin to accept, it means that anybody at all can also accept and say that I'm donating. And anybody who wants to bribe you, there is an influence peddling. He's doing that because he wants something from you. So the moment you accept it, it means that he has a right to come back to you and ask for something that you cannot deny the person.
But if you take it, and I intentionally brought in the Kanazue Burkinabe businessman issue. If you accept it, but it's not coming, it's not going to be of direct benefit to you. It's in the pool, and the state is going to make use of it. Is there an issue? I have my own issues with it, but I'm just playing devil's advocate. Is there an issue?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. The moment you have accepted it, the person knows that I have given it to President Mahama. I didn't give it to the state. There is a difference between coming to donate. Why didn't the person come and donate it to the state?
So if you seek the favor and you don't get it, the fact that you've given this, I donated it to the pool, you don't get any favors from me. Does it change anything?
Well, I cannot conclude whether it changed anything or not. I'll just tell you that after the briber, he always thinks that he has done his job. Whether he donated it to the pool or not, he has done his work. But I will commend the president for donating it to the pool. But next time, he should not accept it.
All right. I think on the back of what happened with the businessman, Sweetie, I think maybe he shouldn't have accepted it, simply put. Any thoughts before you go to your
I mean, Dr. Asan Sante, I read an article, something slightly different from what Dr. Mohammed is actually saying. You think that the gift threshold should have been set at 5,000 cedis. But I'm listening to Dr. Mohammed now say that it should be of no monetary value at all. No gifts should come in of monetary value. Do you still hold that opinion?
5,000. You remember the president placed it at 20,000.
Yeah.
And then the head of Transparency International local branch also said 10,000. I said no, I want 5,000 or even less. Sometimes $5, $2. There are perfect examples all over the world. We can borrow from that. All that I want to say is that ministers or appointees are paid for the job that they do. So don't accept anything a handshake or a letter can do. Then
Doc, is it doable that ministers and members of parliament will not accept any form of monetary gift at all? Is it actually something we can do, make it happen?
Oh, there is always a way out. We can do it, unless, of course, we are not interested in that. If somebody is bringing a gift to you and said, I don't accept gift, is it not doable? It can be done. But if you are, you have such a corrupt mind, you are always even looking for the opportunity to grab. So I believe that all that I was saying about the 5,000 was that we are not interested in any gift at all, because it's an inducement and it compromises your power. And once somebody induces you in that way, all right, even if you accept the car and you put it at the pole, all that he wants is that to be able to have access to you. That access has been created by the gift that he gave to you. Yes. So now he will follow up with a call and all that. This is what we don't want. We are saying that shy away from it, because whatever you want, the state will provide. If you don't have the resources to do your work, let us know. We will provide, because we are the source of the authority.
Okay. So I have 2 papers. I'm going to just give out the headlines and end on the major one I want us to discuss. That is coming from Imani. The Daily Analyst has these stories on the front page. On Boko crisis, Baumia calls for cooperation for lasting peace. On Tokono suspension case, Supreme Court dismisses Dame's objection. Mahama urges appointees to be humble. Diplomatic and service passports of former officials revoked. On World Press Freedom Day, KGL boss advocates for stronger media partnerships. An alleged equipment disposal scandal, Imani petitions Sraj to probe EC. I'll come back to that story after I get some of the headlines from the Ghanaian publisher out. Apenyo Makin petitions IGP. Fish out officer who assaulted me, he says. The story about Bawumia calling for cooperation on the Boko crisis is also here. Mahama fails to deliver key promises, and that's the story on page 2. I think they are sort of marking his 120-day social contract and checking out the things that he's achieved so far. And on flood control, MPs commend dredge masters. So let's get into the story of Imani's petition to Sraj to probe EC. And the story says, policy think tank Imani Center for Policy and Education has formally petitioned the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice to investigate Ghana's Electoral Commission over what it describes as constitutional and legal breaches in the disposal of electoral equipment. I want to skip to the part where it gives us the actual details. It says, in 2020, the EC undertook a complete overhaul of its electoral technology infrastructure, citing obsolescence as the main reason. However, Imani maintains that the EC had been regularly upgrading components over the years, making wholesale replacement unnecessary and costly. Quote, at a time when Ghana is under a tight fiscal regime supervised by the IMF, the reckless disposal of public assets cannot be overlooked. Do they have a case there, Dr. Kwame Asan Sante?
You see, in political science, we talk about state capacity, and one of its variants is what? Your ability to raise revenue to run the affairs of the state. And another one is what? The technical capacity, where you make use of policy and all that. If you put all together, what it tells you that anything you do involve the expert so that they will give you the right advice. Maybe EC is in what? This trouble simply because it did not engage the right people with the requisite knowledge to help them. Because if they have done so, I'm sure they would have been able to know from the expert position that this path is dangerous and this is the way out. I'm sure something went amiss, and that is why we are saying that. Going forward, we are saying that whenever you are taking such decision, it's important that you resort to the use of people with the right knowledge, with expert knowledge on these. Otherwise, it becomes albatross around your neck. The issue of 120-day promises that the president gave, from my perspective, I think the president has done a lot of them. It is true there are some that need to be addressed. If you talk about the issue of the VRA, water spillage and the investigation and all that, I have my position on that, not to prejudice anything. The president will not find anything. Why am I saying this? Because the solution is the Pualugu Dam. And where is the Pualugu Dam? Once you construct the Pualugu Dam, water from upstream, that is the Bagri and all that will be contained there. The rest will be used for irrigation. And talk to MPP people, where do we find that money for the Pualugu Dam? I mean, we know where to be found. Then the little water that will flow out of the Pualugu will get to Akosomo, and it can be minimized. And then later they push the rest to Pom. That was not done.
Yeah.
And remember, if you talk to VRA people, because of the nature of the dam, remember the dam is made of clay. Any water that accumulates behind the dam, they will tell you that is a danger. They will release the water. They don't wait. And there are people who monitor the water level daily, hourly, and all that. And they will not sit down for the dam to collapse. But we are yet to see what the committee will find out. Thank God, the person who is going to head the committee has already worked in VRA. So he understands the real, workings of the VRA. Then issue of having a lean government. We have seen that. The executive made up of about 45 or 46 members instead of 60. A good one. We have seen the reinvestigation of cases. He taxed the former IGP to go into some of them, the killings and all that. And we are hearing stories about the progress the police is making relative to the Ameswali's killing and the rest of them. The National Economic Dialogue, the government has done some work there, and now it is in the hands of Mr. Ishmael Yamsing and his people who are working to give us the best in that area. The National Education Forum, the government has initiated that body, has been put into place to look at this. The Code of Conduct and Standards for all government officials was launched about a few days ago, and we are seeing that the free sanitary pads, which people ridicule, which I think is unfortunate, is a big program that we need to support and then support at all times. And that has also been launched. Government policy to ban political appointees for purchasing assets, which is dear to my heart. People come to public office and then we have acquired properties for public use, only for them to turn around and then get these properties and then sold to themselves and later use them. That is going to be a thing of the past. And I am happy that we have a thing of this nature.
Right.
What I also expect is that they should extend it to mean that vehicles that we continue to buy at high prices, we should put a stop. And then people who are traveling using public offices should go to the pool and pick in a car and run with that. That will help us. The rest, with what Galam say and all that, we are saying that so far the president has done a great job in this area, but I want the momentum to be sustained. Otherwise, the whole thing comes to naught. And I expect that the places that the government has not touched upon, they should work on it quickly. And that also to bring in the fact that you have to also scrap some of the ugly taxes. That is what the president has also done. So let us wait and see now the long-term programs that the president has for us. And then we'll see. The issue of our final market and then the story around his demonstration, and he's saying that somebody assaulted him and all that. The good news is that the police is looking into this matter. When they are done with their work, we'll know the findings. The EC and Imani saga, I think...
we dealt with that already. And
we've dealt with
we have
that.
to, let me move
and then
to...
the Boku crisis. It's unfortunate that our people in that part of the country have not known peace for a very long time. It's very, very unfortunate, simply because of intractable conflict. But I believe that this time around, I will urge all the parties to, come to the table of Asan Sante and then let them smoke peace at pipe and then find a lasting solution to the problem there. Our people deserve peace, and it should be now.
All right, thank you. I'm talking about speeding up some of the promises that they made. I was looking forward to that bill to streamline government scholarships. That's another one that's pending. So I think as soon as possible, this government should focus on that. Dr. Mohammed, your take on these stories?
Well, clearly, if you look at what is happening at the EC, I think that Imani Ghana is bringing out a very important dimension or very important issue. I think that we need to really investigate that and see whether all the claims that they are making is really true. And what is the quantum or how much money was lost in the process of this, so that we can actually deal with it properly and know the lasting solution that should be brought on board. If the so doing they are found culpable, the law should take its own course. Just as it has taken its own course previously, it has to take its own course now. President Mahama 120 days has been excellent. I think that he has overperformed, as he rightly indicated. Yeah, he has overperformed.
I know many people who disagree with you, Dr. Mohammed.
I anticipated that most of the things that happened in this short period of time will have happened. I was at the Economic Dialogue series, and if you know the enthusiasm that greeted the whole place, you realize that people were working to ensure that we have a change. And you could see people cutting across various political divides. The public sector, the private sector, the civil service, the police, the soldiers, everybody was present just to make sure that they contribute their quota. So I believe that Ishmael Yanshin report is going to be a very fantastic one that will please cross and cut every sphere of the economy. And the educational dialogue series was also a very massive one. And I think that if all these policies are put into practice, we are going to change the country and make things work better. But I still maintain that there are pockets of issues that we still have to deal with. Issues of housing and the way we develop our infrastructure is still a very serious matter. You remember recently that we lost a lot of people through road accidents. And I believe that the big push has started, and they should begin to concentrate on investing a lot of the money, especially in dualization of our roads. And that should be a step in the right direction. The 13.something billion should not be used for feeder roads. Let's use that money to concentrate on our major highways so that we can do something beneficial.
Right.
We can raise the money internally, and we can fight most of the problems that we have as a country. So we have to begin to work very hard to streamline most of the problems that we have as a country.
I just want to read a bit of details from this story on World Press Freedom Day and the KGL boss advocating for stronger media partnerships. I want to take your thoughts on that, and then we can, I think, wrap up the conversation. I want to find that story in a bit. It doesn't say exactly where it is on the page. Right, so I found it. Speaking at the World Press Freedom Day event in Accra last Friday, Chairman of KGL Boss Group, Mr. Alex Adade, delivered a strong message of support and collaboration between corporate Ghana and media fraternity. And he was addressing the people, and he conveyed a heartfelt greeting. There was something I saw. Just stay with me for a second. Yeah, he stressed that corporate Ghana stand shoulder to shoulder with the media, recognizing their vital role as the lifeblood of any thriving democracy. Dr. Asan Sante, you've been in this profession before. Do you think what we need for press freedom in this country is stronger partnership with corporate Ghana?
We need that, but beyond that, we need other things. We need to continue to have what? Train our members all the time. It is critical. Because sometimes when we see the stories that we churn out, you realize that they are nothing to write home about. They are either what? Sensational stories, or fabrication, or outright lies. And then sometimes we also what? Create fear and panic and the rest of them. But that aside, we have also seen where some of the media houses have lived up to expectation, maintaining the flag of what GJ very high by doing stories that are what? Critical, stories that reflect the situation on the ground, stories that mirror society, and stories that were able to hold the feet of government to what? The heat of what? Accountability. We salute those. So we should take time to reflect on all these things so that we develop the kind of press that will stand the test of time. The press that will speak truth to power. The press that will what? Defend the cause of freedom of this country. The press that will work towards what? A free society, a society we call our own. The press that will be the vanguard for our what? Fledgling democracy. The press that caters for the need of the ordinary man, not only the political class.
Thank you. Ben?
I'll just leave you with some headlines and a little tidbits from one story. The Accra Times, John Mahama warns appointees of a new code of conduct. Don't push me. Speaker Bagbin champions fight against chronic kidney disease, supports dialysis fund with 50,000 Ghana cedis. Adhere to the code, Julius Deborah advises. Champion a new Ghana, Afenyo Mark in tasks Ghanaian media. Standogbe stands firm over attempts to give his boss a bad name. And curbing fuel diversion in Ghana, NPA boss confers with IGP. So on that Standogbe story, he says, President Mahama is not a retaliatory president. We are happy that your protest started this morning and ended very peacefully. That in itself is a very strong message about the democracy that President Mahama wants to instill. President Mahama, as every Ghanaian knows, is not one of those politicians who believe in retaliatory politics. In fact, he is often described as too much of a father for all. I'm sure some of you have seen those interactions. I read them because there was a lot of, fun talk about that online in respect of the commentary between Standogbe and, of course, Alexander Afenyo Markin. But, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining the conversation. I don't know whether you love football. Did you watch Internazionale Milan yesterday versus Barcelona. Did you watch that match?
I missed it.
You missed it?
I was fast asleep. Yeah.
I was
resting
working.
the body.
I was doing something, so I couldn't. Dr. Mohammed, how about you?
Not at all.
Not at all. Do you watch football? Do you like football?
Well,
I am a football enthusiast.
Football.
I love football, but my country decided to, fail me, and I don't want to suffer heart attack. So I've shied away from soccer in Ghana for a while. But sometimes, when in my quiet mode, when I see my team going down, I can't help it but come out in a way. But I will always urge the national team to support the cause of football in this country.
So Dr. Asan Sante, let's do this very quickly. Locally, which team, do you have a club you support? Krobi Asante Kotoko.
I used to be Accra House of Folk fans, but I suffered a lot in their hands. And so I decided to stay away and support the Black Star. And Black Star, the last one, they took me to World Cup. And Asamoah free kick sent me away from Black Star for a while. So now I don't know which team to support, but it's my hope and prayer that this reset will reset for the Black Star.
Dr. Mohammed, any team you support?
No, I think I also support the Ghana Black Star. And their disappointment, especially even this year, they are not going to African Cup of Nations, which is one of my major disappointments. I believe that we have
from last
to
year,
hard.
actually, I think.
Yeah, last year. We have to work very hard to improve on the quality of the players that we have and the quality of service delivery. The managers of the team, they have to be on their feet. If they are able to do so, I think that the country can return back to track and we can have a better football. Football is something that everybody loves in the country.
Right.
And if the game is back to life, Ghanaians will feel happy again. So President Mahama should sit up and work very hard to ensure that we have the Black Star we used to have yesterday. It has to be now.
Muftau Nabila Abdullahi joins us in the studio. Gentlemen, thank you.
That is the sports already, I beg.
Dr. Jabir Mohammed, Senior Lecturer, University of Ghana Business School. Dr. Kwame Asan Sante, Political Scientist, Head of the Center for European Studies, also at the University of Ghana. Thank you, gentlemen. Muftau Nabila Abdullahi.
Sometimes I wonder what gives people joy when they say they don't like football.
What is your problem? Someone likes hockey. Another person likes badminton. What's the problem?
What gives you joy?
Me?
Yes.
A hot shower and then entering a chilled room.
Oh, God.
So, Muftau.
Of two teams having a go at each other in 2 legs, 13 goals, incredible goals.
Look at this. Look at it this way: 13, more than 20 people on the field chasing one small ball around.
Oh God!
Recently, I watched Shaolin Soccer, gentlemen. Let me tell you this, and I wonder why I was so excited about that movie when I was a child. So dramatic and over the top. Shaolin Soccer. Any of you watched
that one? They will hit and the ball will turn to fire and be flying.
But
watch it again.
Where do you think this ranks in terms of all-time semi-finals? I've seen a story on BBC Sport, and they do these rankings. Inter versus Barca 2025, 7-6. I mean, Madrid versus Manchester City 2022. Where do you think this ranks?
There's even Chelsea versus Real Madrid. I'll go for that as well. There's Bayern Munich versus Real Madrid. I'll go for that one as well. There is that 2010 semi-final between Inter Milan and Barcelona as well. In fact, I can go back to that tie between Chelsea and Barcelona of 2005-2006.
Right.
These were
all of them incredible.
In fact, even Arsenal versus Real Madrid in 2005 was also another incredible semi-final contest. So this one, though the goals were plenty, it will rank as one of the topmost semi-final contests in the UEFA Champions League. Maybe we say it is the best, but I don't think. I've seen many, many great games, actually.
Barcelona would usually say Barca, Barca, Barca. Yesterday was Inter, Inter, Inter. Make it enter them. Make Inter enter them.
All that.
Yeah, man. If you're a Barca fan, you can hate me from your TV
Benjamin
or from your phone.
Benjamin is not your sports anchor.
Me not care. Me not think so. Muftau Nabila Abdullahi is up with sports.
Please stay. We'll be right back.
We bring you sports now on the AM show with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullahi. And the new president of the Ghana Olympic Committee says that he wants partners and not just sponsors. According to him, with the right partners, they'll be able to develop sports in the country.
Once all the federations come together, we agree, the GOC takes that and sells that to the Minister Adams. Mr. Adams, look, this is what we want to do in the next 4 years. According to your manifesto and what your President Mahama wants to achieve, these are the things he wants to achieve. This is what we want to do. In doing this, we help you to achieve your aims. This is how much we need to do that. We know you have funding constraints, but we need you to also prepare that these are the things you can help us to do. We also are prepared to go out and get funding for these other things as well. So we all are on the same page. Then we go to the corporate world. Muftau Engineering Limited. This is what we want to do.
It is Man Electricals.
Man Electricals. This is what we want to do. Look, almost all the big companies spend money on many things other than their core business.
Yes.
They call it a CSR. I mean, they do all kinds of things.
Yes.
What influences those decisions? One, they want you to want an accountable institution. They want transparency. And they want to be part of a success story. So we have to know how we package everything and sell it. And tell them, I don't want a sponsor. Oh, come and sponsor this event. For me, yes, it's good, but it's not the best. I want a partner. A partner who will take me from this year, 2025, to 2028. You can decide, you want a particular sport, you want a particular athlete, you want several sports, whatever you want, we will discuss, come to some understanding. So that I know that, I always use Rosie Yeboah as an example. Rosie Yeboah, example was 1.97.
Quite a brilliant athlete.
She could easily have won a medal at the last
At the last Olympic Games.
So I ask Ghana Athletics, let's sit down, Rose. What does Rose need?
The girl who won the bronze medal did 1.95.
Yes, so she could have won a medal easily. Easily. So I said, Rose, what do you need? Ghana Athletics, sit down, let's sit down. What does Rose need to make sure that next Olympics you do over 2 meters? Okay, she has to go to some competitions. She needs some further coaching. She needs somebody else to add to that. So we need an extra coach maybe. She needs some medical support so that if there's an injury. So how much will it cost? Ballpark figure, $50,000, yes. So I want an institution or a body to guarantee that figure, that money is available. Not to in GOC accounts, but I'm prepared that we put that money in an account that is accessible to both the company and the GOC, that we both have access to. So that when she's going for a competition, it's simple. If it's a ticket you're buying, you send the money transfer, pay the airfare, she goes. Hotel, you pay from the account, she goes. You don't go through Ministry of NSA, Ministry of Sports, Ministry of Finance, Controller Accountant General before. No, the money is available. So that then she knows that she's only focused on training. Training. We want to do that for the elite athletes, those who have the opportunity to get us medals.
Medal prospects.
That is it. No matter the sport, whether it's taekwondo, whether it's karate do, whether it's judo, whether it's weightlifting, those are for the individual sports, table tennis, whatever. We do that for them. Then we know that there are about 10, 15 people who we are supporting all the way to the Olympics, starting from today. When we do that, then we are able to say at the end of the journey, Man Engineering,
Man Electricals.
Man Electricals. You started with us. This is what we have achieved with you. So when she's on the podium and we are telling everybody what we've achieved, Man Electricals is part of that story. That is what Man Electricals wants. He wants to be part of our success story. So that when next time I go to Man Electricals, Man Electricals trusts me because he knows that I'm not there to take the money for my personal benefit or anything, but for the athlete. So the athlete is benefiting directly. You see, the athletes must be the center of all that we do.
And the new leadership of the Ghana Olympic Committee took over office yesterday, and Ben Nuno Mensah and his team have officially left the office, and Richard Akpakavi and his leadership too has taken over the governance of the Ghana Olympic Committee for the next 4 years. Let's go to Egypt and bring you highlights of how Zambia defeated Tanzania 1-0 in the CAF Under-20 African Cup of Nations.
First time they've started the competition and lost both games and not scored. Mandanji gets the ball rolling here for Zambia, playing in past Kibeku, gets his crossover, nice touch there, wonderfully set up, and the shot has been driven in there from Sabubu. And still in possession, Danji with a shot, it's magnificent from Mandanji. Picked up again by Ferry, high ball over the left-hand side, there's the shot, it wasn't a bad effort. Here's Mandanji, Mandanji with the right foot. Wow, that was struck straight at the goal, good work to get the ball out to the right-hand side. Shakani lofts one over into the penalty box, there's two of them, queuing up. There it is, there's the delivery, anyone there? There's a great save from the goalkeeper, Mbemba. There's a good overlap, the ball comes across, it's a chance for a shot, and well, they don't. Tanzania play Egypt in their final game. South Africa plays Zambia in their final game. Tonight, Sierra Leone, South Africa. Oh my word, that's the header. And the follow-up header is not on target, but it came off the crossbar. Wow, Mana, that's excellent work. There's the touch, great opportunity here, but a clearance has been made at the back. There's, of course, Joseph Sabobu Banda, who's going to be taking this, the captain, the FC Zurich man, up on the 19-year-old shoulders. Joseph Sabobu, Sabobu! Zambia get the goal. A penalty at the death.
Inter Milan in the final of the UEFA Champions League, and they will be coming up against either PSG or Arsenal, and these two teams will be coming up against each other later tonight. Let's hear from Arsenal midfielder Declan Rice, who has been speaking ahead of that game, and the Joy Sports team will be at Lennox inside Airport, and to bring you commentary of that game. Let's hear from Arsenal midfielder Declan Rice.
It's a semi-final, it's 90 minutes away from a final. I think that tells you everything you need to know. I think the manager spoke to us as a group of players know what we can achieve tomorrow night, and it's a game of football, you know. We can go out there and we can achieve something great for this club, and that's what we want to do. You know, we obviously know we're 1-0 down, but we have full belief, full positivity that we're going to go out there and win tomorrow night. Our second group game of the Champions League, we beat them 2-0, and it was the same team other than Dembele and Kvaratskhelia. Everyone else started and we beat them. So there's no fear. Like I said, I think probably the goal inside 3 minutes probably shocked us a little bit, shocked the atmosphere a little bit. But once we found a foothold in the game again, you know, and we started creating chances, like I said, the goalkeeper made some amazing saves. We fully believed that we could beat them. Obviously, it wasn't meant to be, but we've seen enough and we know enough as a team that tomorrow night we can do something really, really good, and we definitely believe that we belong at this level.
Was that one of the hardest nights that you think, you and also the team? I mean, I think PSG are probably the best team I've seen in Europe this season, so they've been an outstanding team, aren't they? Was that a really difficult night for the team, and how do you feel in the end you came through it?
Nah, not really. I think the first 15 minutes, I think the early goal probably shocked us a little bit, and it took us probably 15-20 minutes to get a foothold in the game. But once we started keeping the ball a little bit and started to create some chances, and obviously Donnarumma made some amazing saves, we had full belief. And then second half, obviously there was a little blip, probably 10 minutes to go, where they hit the crossbar, and we'll put one wide. But we had some massive chances as well. So I think tomorrow night it's going to be a really good game. And like I said, we're really positive and we have full belief we can come here and do something special.
Talking there about looking forward, and of course we're looking forward, but just look back quickly. I've watched both of your free kicks in the first leg against Real Madrid about 100 times. How often have you watched them?
Probably about the same, to be honest with you.
Mentioned earlier, the Joy Sports team will be at Lennox later tonight inside Airport for the semi-final tie between PSG and Arsenal. Which team is joining Inter Milan in the grand finale of that competition? That will be happening on May 31. And on May 31, we'll be at the Aviation Social Center for the final of the UEFA Champions League. And that is part of our build-up to the Rep Your Jersey, which will be happening at the Aviation Social Center. And that event, we've got a plethora of fun games that you would love to be a part of. So do not forget to join us tonight and also on May 31 for the UEFA Champions League. Well, enough. That is your sports. For now, we've got more sports stories on myjoyonline.com. The show continues right after this.
Welcome back on the AM show. We get into our big stories. And of course, you know that big one from yesterday. Member of Parliament for Old Tafo, Vincent Eko Asefua, says he will file for a review of the Supreme Court's decision in respect of that issue that was taken to the Apex Court in reference to the Chief Justice, now suspended. Two core matters that were dealt with yesterday, and on both, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of what the current administration is doing via the suspension and then the processes as far as dealing with the situation are concerned. But we're joined by the Member of Parliament, the legislator for Old Tafo. I'm talking about Vincent Eko Asefua. A very good morning to you, Vincent. Ms. Asefua, can you hear me, sir? All right, so we'll try to look at the salient issues in respect of that conversation, but we know that as of yesterday, there were rulings in respect of the different issues brought before the Apex Court. We know that the Apex Court yesterday, in a 3-2 majority decision, ruled against the MP's motion to halt the process concerning the suspension and potential removal of the Chief Justice. But let's get this report before we get into that conversation.
A panel delivered a verdict, and by a 3-2 majority decision with her leadership, Justice Henrietta Mensah Bonsu, and His Lordship Justice Ernest Gewu dissenting, delivered a 3-2 majority decision dismissing the application for the suspension of the Chief Justice by President Mahama. When I caught up with the former Attorney General, Godfrey Deboadami, I asked him how damaging was the fact that he failed to point to any provision in Article 146 that spells out clearly the timeline within which the President must notify a Chief Justice once he receives a petition asking for the sack of the Chief Justice. Listen to what he had to say.
Clearly, we cannot lose sight of the fact that whatever has happened, the benefit of it accrues to him. And it is incongruous in the constitutional history of this country. We've never seen any development like that before. Whenever there has been a dispute as to the status of the Chief Justice in this country, start from 1980 for an Attorney General, start from 1993, 94, Aban.
Your main argument, your final was the fact that the President's failure to notify the Chief Justice from the outset constitutes an egregious constitutional violation. But one of the panel members pressed you. He wanted you to point the panel to the clause in Article 146 that clearly stipulates the timeline.
The reasons for the decision have not been known. Of course, clearly, I mean, the spirit of Article 146 we're talking about. In the first place, it is important to indicate that nowhere in Article 146 will you find the requirement for prima facie determination made for a Chief Justice. But the Supreme Court itself imported that into Article 146.
The plaintiff in this matter, Vincent, the Member of Parliament for Old Tafo, I asked him if he's disappointed with the court's ruling.
I don't think this is the end of the road, but let's just get the reasoning first. When we get the reasoning, of course, a 3-2 ruling suggests that the Supreme Court itself sees some reasoning in the arguments that we made.
What do you make of the fact that your counsel couldn't point out to the provision that clearly states timeline within which the Chief Justice has to be notified upon receipt of the petition by the President. How damaging was that to your case?
Well, I was even surprised that it even came up, because 24 versus Attorney General clearly tells you that in reading the Constitution, you have to do so by the letter and the spirit. If anybody tells you that because something has not been clearly stated in the Constitution, and for that matter, it has no potency, I am telling you that that is not the case.
Deputy Attorney General Justice Shrem Sai, on his part, hailed the judgment of the Supreme Court. He says the former Attorney General was basing his argument mainly on publications and not necessarily the law.
So you realize that the question was consistently put. What exactly are you alleging? What is the right that you're alleging? And to pile up a series of newspaper publications claiming that because newspapers have published that the president is attacking the judiciary, that is enough for the president to stop the process. So the process is unconstitutional because some newspapers are published. That cannot be a very strong legal basis. And you saw the attachments of newspaper publications, many of them. I don't think that a publication is a legal right or determines the legal right for anyone.
So that was what transpired yesterday in court. Of course, I'm here with Sweetie Abochi. But let's quickly go to Vincent Eko-Asifua, the legislator for Old Tafo. Vincent, if you can hear me, what are your immediate reactions to what happened yesterday?
Well, good morning to you and to your cherished viewers. Yes, yesterday we went to court, and not what we were expecting is what we got. But of course, the Supreme Court spoken. When they speak, you can only get the reasoning as to what they said before you can make any conclusive statement. It is my opinion, and that as far as two of the judges found reason in our arguments that we made in court, it suggests to me that it wasn't a bad case after all. So we can only take our time, find the reasoning on the 21st of May, something that I thought could have been earlier. But of course, they are saying that on the 21st of May, the reasoning will be ready. In the event that we find the reasoning to be one that is hollow, then I'm likely to file for a review.
To be one that is hollow?
Well, in my own estimation and lack of better words, I mean, one that is not acceptable, then we will file for a review, for the Supreme Court to review its own decision. Right.
And while we await that May 21st, I want you to characterize how that verdict came about for us. So, Acting Chief Justice Paul Bafo-Boni, along with Justices Yoni Kulendi and Amadou Tanko, they ruled to dismiss the injunction request. And Justices Henrietta Mensah-Bonsu and Ernest Gau dissented, opposing the majority decision. How do you characterize that, knowing that these two judges who dissented were the judges from the 5-member judges who were empaneled by suspended Chief Justice, and the two along with the Acting Chief Justice, they are the new ones who were just coming into the fore. How do you characterize that?
Well, I would have thought that the judges who commenced the suit, because yesterday was the third time that we went to court. The first and the second days, the panel was different from what we saw yesterday. In fact, yesterday, when I got to court and I saw the judges coming in, to my utter surprise, I saw a change in the judges. I was surprised because I knew that the matter had already commenced. The matter was already before the Supreme Court, because yesterday was the third time. Only for me to see that the judges were reconstituted. Our first objection to the bench was that the acting CJ is not well clothed to sit on the matter.
Why is that?
Not on the basis of constitutionality, but on the basis of appropriateness. Because when the Chief Justice was suspended, he is the one who is sitting in her stead. And so I do not think that he himself should have sat on the matter. There are other Supreme Court judges well available to sit on these matters. So what you will see...
Does anything bar him from sitting on the case?
Nothing bars him. That's what I'm saying, that
okay.
Constitutionally, legally, nothing bars him. But you see, when you are serving justice, it is not just about the justice that will have to be done. It is also making sure that people will see, bystanders will see that indeed justice is being served. We will have to see that indeed it is being served, and it will have to appear that it is being served. For your colleague to even ask me that new judges that were introduced voted against my injunction, and judges who were already on the matter voted for my injunction, that alone should tell you that you create an impression in the minds of people that justice may not be served.
Okay, so quickly, very quickly on that point, are you also, do you know that by extension, what you're also saying is that then that group that had been constituted earlier and those that stayed to the script or decided that there was merit to your petition, others could also look at it and say, they too, there was something in there. Do you realize that?
Yes, because you see, it is possible for anybody to also have that conclusion. But if the acting Chief Justice had not changed it, because who goes to court and know the judges who will sit on the matter? Nobody. So the judges who started the matter, in my estimation, should have been allowed to continue. But when you come in to change it, then you create an impression that, well, something is going on.
I have to interject here again. You say, well, something is going on. Does the law allow this reconstitution of panels as we know it? And we've seen so in the past as well. Does the law allow it or not?
I have said it on countless occasions. There is nothing illegal about what happened yesterday.
Thank you.
But I'm talking about the appropriateness of it. That is why I mentioned that for your colleague to even ask me that question, it means that in the minds of well-meaning Ghanaians, why would judges be changed? And all
no,
those
but that's not the angle I was coming from. It appears the panel that suspended Chief Justice Getu Tokono empaneled are the judges that she empaneled, the two remaining, and the three, including the acting Chief Justice. Looks like there's a clear separation of how they voted or how they came to that decision. I just want you, from your perception, to characterize that for me. It doesn't mean that I am alluding to any sort of alignment to any political side. Just to clear that.
I'm only suggesting to you that if the judges that commenced the suit had sat on the matter, this question that you're asking wouldn't have come in.
Right.
Because nobody goes to court to know the judges that will sit on their matter, especially going to the Supreme Court. In fact, if you are going to the High Court, you know that, okay, criminal division, there is this judge there. But at the Supreme Court, you will not know the empanelment, or you don't know the panel that will sit on the matter.
But is it prudent, Vincent, that the Chief Justice will empanel judges, she herself empanels judges to sit on a case that affects her? Although, I mean, we are talking, you just said that there's nothing constitutionally wrong there, but is it prudent? And in the eyes of the Ghanaian, would that be seen as fair for judges appointed by the Chief Justice to sit on a case that affects whether or not she stays in office?
That is a constitutional matter. Again, it is also not illegal. It is also not unconstitutional for the Chief Justice to have empaneled the panel to sit on the matter.
But would you have preferred that? Would you have preferred that she had done it?
But that's what I'm saying, that there was nothing unconstitutional about it, because at the time she was the only person who could do it.
Okay.
You understand? But now, because Bafuboni is the acting CJ, and he is also constitutionally mandated to also empanel judges anytime, to replace them, to reconstitute, he has the power to do so. But I'm only saying that he could have just allowed the status quo to remain, so that in the minds of people, I mean, some of these questions will not be coming up.
Some things still don't add up for me, Vincent Ekwasifwa. The suspended Chief Justice is personally, directly involved in this matter. In fact, it is her office, she herself being in that office, that has come into question. between her and the acting Chief Justice, Paul Bafuboni, whom do you think carries the heavier burden when it comes to recusing himself or herself or staying away from the process? Whom do you think?
The Chief Justice herself at the time had two constitutional powers or authorities. One, to empanel the judges and to also sit on the matter herself. Let's get that clear. She could have even empaneled herself to sit on the matter because that is constitutional.
It is constitutional. She could have also recused herself for the sake of the appropriateness that you speak of. No, that's the question I'm bringing to you. As for the technicalities, we know. I'm saying she could have also decided to recuse herself.
Hold on. I'm saying two things. She could have empaneled the judges and she could have also sat on the matter. But she recused herself from sitting on the matter. But acting CJ also had two things to do in terms of power, to empanel and to sit on it. But he chose to empanel and also sit on the matter.
But what reason could he have not to sit or to sit out of that panel?
Come again.
What reason could he have to not sit on that panel, to choose not to?
Well, so, I mean, in terms of making sure that it appears that the process is fair, she chose not to sit on the matter, even though she could have sat on the matter.
No, I'm talking about the acting Chief Justice. Why would he, what could possibly be the reason for him to choose not to sit on that panel? That's what I'm asking. You said he had the choice to.
It doesn't lie in my mouth to adduce a reason to that. For me, as an ordinary Ghanaian, I think that he shouldn't have sat on it because you create an impression that you have choreographed the whole case to come and showcase the Ghanaian people. Why would you come and sit on the matter when there are other qualified judges who could have sat on the matter? And those judges could have also served, what do you call it, justice. So, in my opinion, he shouldn't have sat on it. But, of course, yesterday we objected to it and he didn't agree to us.
Himself a law lecturer. Just two quick things. Justice Abdullahi, first off, good morning, welcome on the show.
Good morning.
Please give me some 30 seconds. Hold for me. Vincent, yes, so two quick things. Vincent, are you suggesting, do you think there is any bias on the part of Paul Bafuboni in his capacity as the acting Chief Justice in this matter? For which reason you feel maybe he shouldn't have been a part of the process in terms of reconstituting the judges and sitting himself in any case? And when you look at the constitution of judges, from what you've said, are you then tacitly saying that in constituting or reconstituting, sometimes there are elements in there to favor one side and, against another? I just want to get clarity on that, those two quick angles.
So there's a difference between constitution and constitution.
Vincent, I seem to be losing you. I can't hear what you're saying.
Constitution of the panel and reconstitution of the panel. Constitution of the panel is something that happens every day. I mean, it's a constitutional mandate or requirement that beholds the Chief Justice to empanel judges. So day in and day out, you see that going on. Now, when you are reconstituting, you have to do so that you don't create an impression in the mind of anybody, even though you have the power to do so. So when you do so, why do you do so and create an impression that, oh, something untoward may be happening? Because I said there are other judges who could have sat on the matter. We have a number of them there. We have Daku and all those people who are still there who could have sat on the matter.
But these judges could not have done the work?
Come again?
But these judges who were constituted or reconstituted couldn't do the same work that those justices you are speaking of could have done?
They can, but why do you change them? Because the others could have also done the job. Why do you change them? Because if you change them, you create an impression that you have an interest. It may not be so, but that is why I said that you will serve the justice anyway. You do the constitutional things anyway, but will it be just? Will it be fair? Will it be in the mind of the ordinary Ghanaian that what is happening is indeed just and is indeed fair? That is the point that we made.
Well, there is a man whose name has just in it, Justice Abdullahi. He joins us for a conversation. I'll just take his initial thoughts and then Sweetie will come through. What did you make of yesterday's judgments as per the Apex Court, and what is your reasoning on what Vincent Akwasifo is saying?
Sorry, thank you. I believe this goes for me, right?
Yes, Justice Abdullahi.
Or is it goes to my brother Vincent?
Justice Abdullahi, that's for you.
Thank you. I have to be certain because I had a lot of just in the commentary. But I think largely...
Justice Abdullahi, I don't know whether you're on the move. Justice Abdullahi, you'd have to reposition yourself so we can hear you well. There's feedback.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Yes, please. As I was saying, I think my brother Vincent makes fine points with his position that left for him, the acting CJ ought to have recused himself. It's a valid point, and I would say that in principle I agree with him that it is always prudent that when you're dealing with matters of this nature, you would like to make the world believe that indeed you have nothing specially against either of the sides, and that you are being fair, you do not have any interest in the matter, and you are acting solely for and in the interest of fairness and justice. And so you try to avoid any sense of biasness, prejudices, and all of that. And so you wouldn't want to be seen to be a justice in your own court in this particular case, where the former AG's objection had to do with the fact that what's it called? The acting CG is an ultimate beneficiary of any decision that will be made having regards to the circumstances of the case. However, my point of departure here is that the Supreme Court has been consistent with this position, very consistent. So it is difficult to turn around today and cry foul when the same former attorney was on the other side a few years when Justice Gaiu was sitting on a mat that naturally involved the ultimate was the DP as the political party or the capital power at the time. And at the time when the objection was raised as to why or the legitimacy of the Gaiu, the panel, the same attorney general fiercely fought that objection. And Speaker of the Supreme Court,
Justice Abdullahi, I'm struggling to follow your submission because we're getting some interference. Can we maybe get closer to the phone? I don't know what the interference is, but maybe let's try again.
Okay, I wouldn't know either. So let me hold on.
Yes.
Let me see.
Let's try this again.
I'm using a Bluetooth.
Great.
Maybe if you could, I don't know whether you're driving, but if you could stop somewhere just briefly and get off the Bluetooth, because sometimes it creates a bit of static.
I think so too.
Actually, it's better now. Go ahead.
Is it better now? Yes, that's because I'm using the phone directly.
Okay. Please go ahead.
So my point was that the same parties today were parties to that objection that was raised on the issue of Justice Gaiu being on the panel just few months ago when the former Attorney General was on the other side of the divide. And when the objection was raised, the Supreme Court was consistent with its long-standing position that that objection could not be sustained. And so Justice Gaiu was allowed to remain on the panel, despite the fact that the objection raised had to do with the MPP or the government at the time being an ultimate beneficiary. And the issue of Justice Gaiu having contested on the ticket of the MPP in Ho Central as an MP, and for that matter, they did not, the other side did not see justice and fairness being meted out to them because of the impaneling of Justice Gaiu. And so if today the same issue has come up and the same Supreme Court has thrown out that objection, I think the least we can do is to accord the Supreme Court with that level of consistency with its position on such matters. And for that reason alone, I do not think that anything untoward happened. Much as I would have agreed to the acting CJ not sitting on the panel. And indeed, in that matter, I was of the same opinion that I thought the right thing was to remove Justice Gaiu from the panel. But it didn't happen. The Supreme Court insisted that his involvement did not in any way affect or would not affect the outcome, ultimate outcome of the decision that they were making. And so the same decision, the same reasoning today, for me, should be commended rather than being condemned.
And on that very point you make, so would you suggest that there cannot be any bias? Of course, sometimes too you must look at it. Is it to say because there was wrong done in the past, so maybe some wrong, though constitutionally, in terms of impaneling, no wrongs have been committed, but the optics, the law must not only be done, it must be seen to be done. Do you think it was wrong then and it is wrong now? Just yes or no, just straightforward. Was it wrong then?
A straightforward answer, as I said earlier. My position has always been that these objections should be upheld, and the member in question be removed. I do not think anything is lost in changing the panel. I do not in any way think that it is a wrong position when a genuine case of a seemingly bias has been raised on a member of the panel and that member is removed. I do not think it is wrong at all. Indeed, as I indicated, at the the earlier event when it happened,
right,
my position was consistent that I thought it was right that he be removed. And it's the same thing that I feel today, I think today. But this is the Supreme Court we're dealing with.
Just a quick one. Looking at these issues, two quick reflections then on this issue of bias, because under Akufo-Addo, we saw Yoni Kulendi come in, we saw Mensah Bonsu come in and all of that. If you look at the rulings vis-a-vis the CJ, Yoni Kulendi voted for the motion in one of such instances. What does it say about the freedom with which the justices of the court, how they can express their sincere opinion in these matters? And I link that to the fact that, look, we're talking about acting CJ Paul Bafo-Boni. Again, on the other hand, if the CJ, as suspended, is eventually removed, if she is eventually removed, and if Paul Bafo-Boni is made substantive Chief Justice, would it then suggest that maybe there was some merit to this talk about bias? I want you to look at it from that angle.
I think that is too far-fetched, and there are too many of ifs in this whole questioning.
But it could easily happen.
And for me, that makes it too difficult a conclusion to be drawn from the entire circumstances of this case. First, I think that looking at Justice Bafo-Boni, he was appointed by President Kufuor. Everybody in Ghana knows Justice Yoni Kulendi's relationship with the former President Akufo-Addo, a very strong relationship. And indeed, with his relationship with the former Attorney General. These are strong relationships that we can all draw from their previous life. However, yesterday's decision clearly put out there that we can sort of trust our justices to deliver when called upon to do so. I can understand that there are genuine difficulties, particularly during the last administration, but we are not seeing, this is the first test of their independence or fair-mindedness in this administration that we are witnessing. And so I think we can rely on yesterday's decision to, as it were, accept that, well, maybe whatever was pulling the strings in the past is no longer there. And so whatever the case was, today, those circumstances, that yielded to the kind of unanimous decisions and sometimes questionable decisions are no longer in existence. They are no longer at play as of today. And in view of that, I think that the best we can do to our Supreme Court is to respect them for what they are and pray that we continuously get this kind of decisions where everybody will be freely and be willing to give his reasoning, even if the conclusions arrived at will be the same. I think it is commendable that we witnessed that yesterday. To your second question, or the last question as to whether Justice Bafuboni would eventually emerge the CJ, I think the question marks to that issue are too many. We can attest to the fact that over the period, we haven't had the consistency of having the most senior CJ, the most senior Supreme Court judge becoming the CJ. And so it is very difficult to conclude that Justice Bafuboni would automatically emerge the CJ should the proceedings that are currently ongoing succeed in removing the
I don't want to come in, but that was not my question. It was about whether then the whole point about bias would stand. But I think we can avoid it, Sweetie.
Absolutely.
Let's move forward.
Just Abdullah, you just said that we can infer confidence in our judges from this ruling, although we do not have the benefits of the reasoning behind this 3-2 ruling. However, the legislator for Otafo, Vincent Ekwasefua, says they will review the Supreme Court's ruling when they find out what the reasoning is. Would they really have a case to go back and review the Supreme Court's ruling if they don't like the reasoning behind the verdict? Would they have a case there?
Once again, as I've always maintained, when it comes to the review jurisdiction of the Supreme Court, it's almost an impossible task for anyone to come out successfully on. And so, if there is an opportunity to review, to apply for a review, I would confidently urge my colleagues and friends to pursue that option if it is available to them. But we all know, we can say with the level of certainty that the outcome is likely to be negative. As to the merit of it, only the Supreme Court can determine. But if you judge by the percentages of successful reviews in this country, it's almost 95% as against 5 against a possible victory.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Justice Abdullah. He's senior lecturer, UPSA Law School. Vincent, let's give you one final word. I know we have to go, but you've been listening so far. So in about 1 minute, give us a wrap of your thoughts.
Well, so I think that my brother Justice is in Adaidem with almost everything that I said. And so I think that, well, at the level of the Supreme Court at all times, it is because that is the apex court of the land. At all times, we should strive to make sure that when serving justice, that justice that is served is seen to be fair.
All right.
If the initial panel that sat on the matter had concluded the same way, it would have been very difficult for people to think that there is a certain kind of bias in there.
We are grateful for your time. That is Vincent Ekwasefua. He's a Member of Parliament for Old Tafo. And some would say if the reconstitution would have been problematic, how about maintaining it? What's the interest in there? But that's how we conclude that conversation. Don't forget the AM show is sponsored by Whaley Properties. And we delve into something we're bringing your way shortly. Sweetie?
So coming up next, let's get into the Northeast Regional Security Council, because yesterday they started a search for displaced victims of violence in 2 communities in the Binduri Binduri district. More than 1,500 residents fled to live in their farm fields and unknown bushes after both communities were burnt down in renewed chieftaincy and land violence. Let's get you that report in the conversation right after.
The two communities were attacked and destroyed separately in February 2 months ago. Firstly, at Ngamagborok, which is near Bindi along the Nakpanduru-Bunkpurugu road. The attack occurred on February 5th and 8th, 2025, following renewed land and chieftaincy disagreement between members of the two mobile clans in the community. Members of one of the clans returning from a chieftaincy installation ceremony on February 8th were said to have been attacked on their way by unidentified armed men. In retaliation, the community was surrounded and overrun by armed attackers. The attackers burned down the whole community of about 286 households and large quantities of food stocks. When Joy News visited the community a few days ago, it remained a ghost town, with the displaced residents now hiding out in their far-flung farmlands and unknown bushes. Coincidentally, some of the residents had come to check on their damaged properties at the time Joy News was in the community, and we caught up with them.
Yada Europe mbana temi uro ma diane nyina shi mbana uro ma na wo manya mango kura sia mango kakra kraba na wo ma dia ble Europe unse Europe na ye fliba ya etia na nkra no so mudi dia ya na wo mo ye de nkwa bia mango no wo me de bana ye miensa ye temi yiba kokura na ye de mankwa na ye de okini ya
They called on the government to come to their aid. Joy News also visited the Nanik community, which was attacked on the 28th of the same month of February by unknown armed men believed to have come from the nearby Bimbago community. Community was attacked and all its 176 houses completely burned down following renewed tension over the controversial elevation of the Nanik chieftaincy skin to paramountcy status. 6 people were killed, including a non-native teacher, and 4 others were injured. Public services, including education and healthcare delivery, remain unavailable in the areas. According to figures from NADMO, a total of 1,642 people, including women and children, were displaced in both violence. From Bunkpurugu, Elias Sotanko reporting for Joy News.
So let's get more details and clarity on this matter. We are speaking to Ibrahim Tia, his Northeast Regional Minister. Sir, thank you for joining the conversation. And first of all, how do you feel about this news coming to us this morning?
Good morning to your cherished listeners and the panelists of your station. Yeah. We got that sad news, and then we had to reconvene as a regional security committee to see how we can get the situation there under control.
Okay.
Yesterday, the whole regional security committee, and then the MP for Bunkpurugu, Binduri constituency, and the district chief executive paid a visit to the victims. We went and met them, assured them of adequate security, and pleaded with them to return to the community. As a result of that, we've kept a police post in place at Nanik. And then we also sent some food aid to assist them. We interacted with them, and then we assured them of the police security, and we will be beefing up security in that area.
You started the search yesterday for 1,500 people. What have you found so far?
Oh yeah, we got we got almost to 500 people who were around yesterday, who came around, both men and women, and we interacted with them. We assured them of adequate security, and then today we are engaging the opinion leaders of NANIC in a regional security meeting. And then tomorrow we'll be engaging the Bumbago community too in another security meeting with the RICSEC. And then on Friday, based on the findings that we've gotten, we will have a meeting with all the relevant stakeholders within the area and the overlords so that we'll find a lasting solution to the problem.
I'll hand you over back to Ben in a bit, but can you tell us exactly what started this violent clash? I see your lips moving, but I don't hear you. I don't know if you're still speaking or if you're waiting for my question, but if you can hear me, sir, I'm asking from your perception, perspective, I mean, what exactly started this violent clash?
Oh, really? It's a chieftaincy issue between the Bumbago community and NANIC. And that is what really started the issue there. And they are all Bimuwes. They are brothers and sisters. But just because of the chieftaincy issues that brought about the attacks in the NANIC community. And we've been engaging with the overlord of the Mamprisi traditional kingdom to see how we can get the lasting solution to it. We held a series of meetings with them, and then unfortunately it escalated. But this time around, we really intend bringing them together again to sit down, discuss with them. Yesterday when we were there, I made them understand that yes, this is the last time that we are going to meet them, and we will implement the full rigors of the laws. Anybody who fails to abide by the protocols that we are all going to agree on, we exact the full force on those communities.
And I'm reading that it's a renewed clash. That's what I'm asking. We know that, of course, it's a chieftaincy issue going on, which is not the first time this is coming up. I'm asking for this particular bout of violent clash we are seeing. What gave rise to it this time around?
But this time, it comes on. Yeah. This time around, it came on. Nobody expected that something of that nature was coming. And these bandits, when they are preparing, you don't even know that they are preparing to attack until it happened. But we know it's the chieftaincy issue that is causing it.
So that was an angle of the conversation I wanted to get to. You're saying that as chairman of the RECSEC, Regional Security Council, no intelligence was picked. No intelligence was picked that this could happen?
No, we got the intelligence and we engaged the opinion leaders there. And they assured us that nothing was going to happen and that nothing was on the ground.
When did this engagement happen?
We had this engagement in February.
We're in May.
Yeah. And then we had the engagement with them in February, yes. And after that, we held a series of stakeholder meetings with them, including all the chiefs from the Bunkurugu traditional area, even places that were not involved, but we just brought them in as stakeholders to see how we can appeal to their conscience and get this thing resolved.
So my point, Mr. Tia, is that you had this engagement in February. Good job. But we're in May. Have these engagements continued? And how come we didn't see? Because with what is happening now, you have what? Close to 2,000 people, about 1,500 people who have left their homes and all of that. It creates a problem. Some could even go to neighboring regions or neighboring areas, I should say, towns, and maybe now lodge with other people. You see what the dynamics could be. And there was no hint that this could happen?
You see, issues with chieftaincy and then security issues is not everything that we bring out in the public domain. In March or early April, I was within that area and I had to visit a number of the opinion leaders privately. I went to their homes, I visited some of the chiefs, and I pleaded with them to see how we can get these issues resolved. Aside that, we've been engaging the overlord to see how we can get it. So it's not everything that we can bring to the public domain. So we've worked on it up to this point that we are now confident that these people can now return to the community. That was why we went and they agreed and came out and met us in NANIC town. NANIC town was completely a ghost town. Nobody was living there. But as a result of this mediation behind the scenes, that we are now getting to this conclusion, thinking that when we bring them together now, we can have a lasting solution to it. It's a process. And there is not everything that we can always bring out in the public domain.
We already have a number of these chieftaincy issues, and one of those prominent ones would be Boku with the Otumfuo.
Come again?
I'm saying we already have a lot of these chieftaincy land disputes that we are trying to deal with. One of the most prominent being the Boku situation. We don't want that to happen again. One of the proposals in recent times has been the codification of these chieftaincy lines. I've forgotten who said it in recent times. It's not that this is the first time, but could that be part of the solution in this area? Codifying so that we know the specific chieftaincy lines there are and who will be chief at which point in time. Do we have that in place?
Yeah, certainly. At the Mampugo Traditional Council, they are working along those lines to see how we can get the codifying of these things so that there are straight lines. And then we all look at it carefully so that it will minimize these issues on the ground. Yes, as we go, you know, this chieftaincy institution was just there, we came and inherited it. And as time goes on, we have to keep modifying it to see how it will suit the current needs of the people. And then when that is done, and you know, there are a lot of stakeholders involved in this, that you have to bring them together, they sit down and they agree to the roadmap. And then when you get it designed and everybody gets his input into it and they agree to it, yes, it works perfectly for the institution and then everybody will fall in line. It's a process. And I think eventually we'll get there to nip all these unfortunate incidents on the back.
Okay, so right before Sweetie comes back, what is the next step in this process? What are you going to be doing today and maybe in the coming week as far as this process is concerned?
Yeah, just like I mentioned, we're having a regional security committee meeting with all the chiefs from Nanik today. Then tomorrow we'll be having another meeting with the chiefs from Bumbago. And then on Friday, we'll be having a meeting with the palace, or we schedule a date based on whatever discussions that unfold. Then we come out with the remedies to see how we can get these issues resolved. Aside that, there are some youth groups that we need to engage to. So we have scheduled this to meet them so that all the other stakeholders will be there, and then we'll all collaborate and see how we can get this issue resolved once and for all.
You said you've seen about 500 people so far. Have you been able to resettle them back into their homes?
We are in the process. It is not easy getting all the resources to get them replaced immediately. But we are appealing to non-governmental organizations and donor agencies and the assemblies so that we can see what we can do to get them back, because this is the farming season, which is just by the corner. They need to come back, settle, and get back to their farms. Again, what we experience on the ground, we need a police post there. We've stationed some policemen there, but that is still not enough. And even to get the situation completely underground, we need a whole police post in Nanik. And
so where are they then?
And
where are they? Where are these 500 people you found? Where are they?
Oh, they are within the community. Yesterday we met them. We gave them some foodstuffs that we sent, and some will even be going back to. They were sending some foodstuffs there today again for them. They are currently in Nanik.
So what's the strategy to find the remaining 1,000 or thereabouts who've still not been found yet?
Oh no, certainly they are just staying by the nearby communities. And you know, because of this conflict, most of them don't want the attackers to know where they are really located. But once we went and met them and made them understand that we've got the police post there, which will give adequate security for them, I think they will come back to the community. And based on the engagements that we are going to have with their leaders today, when the information gets back to them, they will all come back to their community.
Are you saying you know for sure the whereabouts of these people, or you are assuming that they are in the nearby communities?
No, we know where they are. Just for security purposes, we don't want to just mention the names in the public domain.
Well, thank you so much, Ibrahim Tia. That's the Northeast Regional Minister. And this is on those 1,500 people who fled their community because of renewed chieftaincy and land violence.
I just want to make an appeal.
Please, go ahead.
Your channel has been putting it out there that I have not declared my assets, which is completely false. I did declare my assets on the 20th of March. And I have my slip. Unfortunately, it's not with me here. I would have flagged it for you to see.
Oh, okay.
So the fourth estate lied. I said they lied. And even when they did, they should have cross-checked for me. Oh, we have realized that you have not done this. Is it true? But they didn't do that. Nobody reached out to me. And they kept it there. And I wrote to them, telling them that they should withdraw it. They are still not doing it. And my name is still popping up. I'm a very obedient servant. I will never flout the laws of His Excellency. So I just want that to
This is a great platform for you to make that correction. So correction well noted. Thank you, sir, for joining us this morning.
But Mr. Tia, while we thank you for doing that and for being a law-abiding citizen, we must also state that the information was sourced from the Auditor General's, outfit. And in fact, I think one or two people have come out to say they have their receipts. So it has to do with the Auditor General's, department also updating its records, which we would fall on. But thank you so much for that clarity, sir. And that is Ibrahim Tia, Northeast Regional Minister, joining us for a conversation. We take a breather. When we come, still to come, we'll be telling you a bit about the conclave, which starts in Rome today, among other very pertinent matters that hit home. You want to stick and stay? We'll be back.
Pridie quam pateretur accepit panem in santas venerabiles manus suas, et elevatis oculis in celum a te Deum Patrem omnipotentem, tibi gratias agens benedixit, fregit, dedique discipulis suis dicens, accipite et manducate ex hoc omnes, hoc est enim corpus meum, quod pro vobis tradetur.
And so, as you see live scenes from the Vatican, as that process that starts, the selection of a new pope takes place, of course, Holy Mass is being said. And in fact, if you focus on what the meaning of the conclave is, you would know that, in fact, the conclave comes from two Latin words, cum, that is with, and clavis, that is key. We'll be interacting with a priest shortly to walk you through what you can expect. The process to elect a new pope for the Catholic Church commences today. And of course, this has become necessary on the passing of the Holy Father, the Supreme Pontiff, Francis, our Pope. And indeed, from today, that process commences for the selection of a new pope. Where the person will come from, well, time will tell. The Spirit-led cardinals will select that. But we have joining the conversation Father Emmanuel Salifu. He is parish priest of the St. Patrick Catholic Church at Atomic. He joins the conversation. Father, good morning.
Good morning to you, and good morning to all your listeners.
It's a pleasure having you. I've always said whenever I see you that I pray for the day my hair will be as plentiful as yours. So you need to pray for me, Father. In that
and I pray for the day I'll get beard like yours.
A beard like mine. So let's get straight down to it. A conclave. What exactly is happening today in Rome, and what are the processes that will follow from here?
Okay, so what we just saw is the mass that dedicated to the conclave, to the beginning of the conclave. So we are celebrating mass, basically praying for the purposes of our non-Catholic viewers. I want to just explain what the mass is. So the mass has to do with the liturgy of the word, which is the word of God, reading the word of God, explaining the word of God, and praying based on the word of God. Then we move to the Eucharist, which is the celebration of Jesus giving himself to us in the form of bread and wine. And so when you read the Gospel of John, it will tell us in the prologue, it will tell us that, and the word became flesh. That's basically the Mass. So they are celebrating the Mass, praying as a way of calling on God to help them as they process. So a time would come, the cardinals, all the cardinals would process into the Sistine Chapel. Then from there, they would elect those who would lead in the election processes. So you have 3 categories of people. You would have one category who will be counting the votes. You have another category of those who, perhaps if some cardinals are sick and they cannot join them in the Sistine Chapel, they would go to their abode, within the Vatican still, and pick their votes. But in the case where you do not have a situation like that, then all of them are in the Sistine Chapel. Then you have a third group of people who would sort of validate what the first group of people who would be in charge of taking the vote will be doing. So from here, they will process into the Sistine Chapel today. They will process into the Sistine Chapel. I am guessing it will be around 3 p.m. GMT, either 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. today. And then they will start with prayers. Already yesterday, all those who will be helping with the conclave process took a vow of secrecy and a vow, an oath that they swore that they would ensure that whatever the Holy Spirit is guiding the church to do, they would help in the process and ensure that nothing that is occurring within the conclave is going out or leaks or all those kind of things. So that has already been done. If you will notice, all this is happening within the prayer, within the context of prayer. In fact, when they go into the conclave, they will call on the Holy Spirit, our typical Catholic invocation of the Holy Spirit. Come, Holy Spirit, fill the hearts of your faithful and enkindle in them the fire of your love. And so after praying that, then they will prepare themselves for the vote. The ballot sheet has an inscription on the ballot sheet that calls on God. This is what the inscription on the ballot sheet says. It is written in Italian, but the English translation is, I call as my witness Christ the Lord, who will be my judge, that my vote is given to the one whom I believe should be elected according to God. Now, this is very important because, again, I'm saying everything is within the context of prayer. I call as my witness Christ. So we are calling on Christ to help us to elect the one who God himself has chosen. So the whole politics of will it be a Ghanaian, will it be an African, will it be an Asian, that's not the interest of the church. The whole politics of whether the new pope will be a conservative or a liberalist, or he will be one who championed the cause of immigrants or whatever it is, the political undertones that we are having, we must appreciate that the church is not interested in this. What the church is interested in, one who is after the heart of God, one whom God himself has chosen. And that is why even as they vote on the voting card, this is written. You call on God as your witness, you call on Christ as your witness, and then you indicate that I am praying that you assist me to vote the one you, the Lord, has appointed and chosen. Then after that, they will cast their ballot. Very often, there are 2 sections in the morning when they cast their ballot. 2 sections in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. When they have the 2 sections in the morning and there is no 2/3 vote, then they would burn to indicate that there's no pope elected yet. And that's when they will see the black smoke. In the evening or in the afternoon, when they come again, they will vote. And after voting 2 sections, if they do not have a 2/3 nobody gets a 2/3, then it goes into the second day. However, after the third day, if they have not arrived at a person who is winning a 2/3 vote, then they will give a pause. There will be a whole day of prayer, the word of God, and interaction, informal interaction, a whole day of that with a retreat, someone giving them a reflection, either a cardinal, the cardinal deacon, or one of the oldest cardinal, to help them, to give them a day's retreat, and then after that, they continue on the 4th day. However, if it travels to the 21st, to the 13th day, and after 13 days, they have not been able to choose a pope or one that will lead them, then it is required that the two who have often been coming with the highest number, they would be voted for. So that will limit the number, and then you can only vote for those two. And then eventually you get the 2/3 majority. So basically, this would be the process. And as I said, if you look at the whole process, first of all, the voting will be done in the 16th chapel. So it will be done in a chapel. Secondly, they would have to pray and invoke the Holy Spirit. Third, they would have to invoke Jesus as their witness as they vote for the one they believe God has chosen. And each time after they vote, they go to before the altar with the vote in their hand lifted up this way, and there they pronounce this solemn declaration of calling on Christ before they put it on a pattern or a plate, which is on top of a chalice. After that, they just remove the chalice, and then the vote just slips into the chalice. After which, the three categories of people I mentioned earlier, the first category will take the chalice and count the vote. There are three people. The first one will recognize the names that have been written and give it to the second, who would also confirm that this is actually what the first has said and the vote. And then the third person would announce it publicly to the gathered assembly and will record it. And then it is put there as a vote. Eventually, when they are done, it will be sewn together with a thread and a needle. And if they don't have their 2/3 majority, that is when they burn the votes and add a chemical, and then the smoke comes out. So basically, in brief, this is what will be happening. But as I said, the whole atmosphere and the context is a very prayerful environment. It's a discernment process. It is not a political one where we are going to cast for either this political party or that political party. That's not the interest of the church. This is the reason why the whole environment is very prayerful.
All right. So I do know that, in fact, the whole bit about secrecy is paramount, absolute secrecy, on the pain of excommunication. But if you look at the numbers, it's not so much about having an Asian pope or an African pope. It's about where the Spirit leads. We know that some of the cardinals are indisposed and will not be able to partake in the process. The entire number of cardinals, the College of Cardinals, 252, but those who are eligible to vote, just about 135. And if you look at the dynamics, getting 2/3 would mean securing about 90%, or 90 actually, of those votes out of the 135. John Cardinal Njue of Kenya will not be a part of the process on the back of ill health. But if you look at the dynamics, while we are not necessarily rooting for an African pope, because it's where the Spirit blows, where the Spirit leads, what is the likelihood? You have 53 of those cardinals from Europe, Italy, the most represented with 17, the United States with 10, and then it trickles down. I believe Ghana's cardinals, I think there's been a bit of a drop because of health and the passing of some of them, hasn't there? Just walk us through the numbers and what they reflect by way of the likelihood of getting a pope from one place or the other.
Well, if we are going to talk about the numbers, then we'll again be doing the statistics and probability, which I'm not sure is the interest of the Holy Spirit. So I know that the African cardinals number about 18. And so that will be doing some politicking and saying, okay, let's take that all the Africans vote for one person. And you realize that at this point, if we start going at this tangent, then what it actually means is that we are trying to silence the Holy Spirit and using some human elements and continental sentiment. Let's try and get someone from our continent to do. I like what Pope Francis said when he was elected. He says the cardinals and the Holy Spirit has gone to the ends of the earth to elect somebody from far away. So when it comes to the numbers, yes, there are numbers in terms of representation. In Ghana, for Ghana, we have only Peter Cardinal Apia Texan over there. And then we have other cardinals from Africa, as I said, about 18 of them. You have mentioned one has ill health, so cannot be there. If he was in the Vatican, he would have voted, but since he couldn't even fly to be there, he cannot vote. But the point again is I feel like if we start going into these numbers and try to use the numbers to determine the likelihood of an African coming to become a pope or where the pope will be coming from, again, we'll be sidelining the blow of the Holy Spirit. So for me, I think it is nice to have an interest and know that, oh, okay, so the cardinals are from varied parts of the world, and it is beautiful. It tells the variation of the church. And then they elect one, notwithstanding where he's coming from. Right. So Pope Francis was the first from America. He's the first pope to have been elected from America. I'm sure if you had done the numbers, then you would have realized the American representation would be a very small number. And yet the Holy Spirit went there to America. So if the Holy Spirit decides to blow its wind through Africa, we accept it. But it doesn't matter where the person is coming.
Well, the continent of Africa has had 3 in the very distant past. Just about 1,500 years ago with the last one. But there's this BBC article pointing to some Ghanaians in the UK who point to the fact that an African pope would be inspirational. There are those who are also, and in fact, the Ghanaians are rooting for Peter Cardinal Apia Turkson. It would be interesting, wouldn't it? Because his name is Peter. Significantly, no pope has taken the name Peter out of respect for the fisherman himself, the rock, Cephas, Peter, that apostle or the disciple of Jesus. Some are also rooting for Filipino Cardinal, that is the Cardinal of Manila, Archbishop of Manila, I should say, Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle. Your final words as we cap off this conversation. What should Catholics in Ghana be doing apart from prayer to ensure that the cardinals pick the best man for the job to lead the church?
In fact, let me just say that in the Archdiocese of Accra, His Grace, Most Reverend Bonaventure Kofi, has written a letter to all priests in all parishes that today Mass be celebrated. We have a Mass that is celebrated for the election of a Pope. So a ritual Mass that is to be celebrated throughout the Archdiocese of Accra. And let me use this opportunity to also invite all Catholics and all priests throughout the world to ensure that we enter into today's celebration of the Eucharist in communion and prayer with the cardinals. So if you ask, what must we do apart from prayer? I don't think there's much we can do apart from prayer, since we are asking the Holy Spirit to aid them. So we can't really do much but to pray and ask that God would lead the church in the direction that He wants the church to go. We want a Pope who is after the heart of Jesus. We want a disciple of Jesus who is not interested in what the world wants, because the church is not being led by the world. The church is led by Christ, and the church must lead the world to Christ and not the other way around. And that is why we have the conclave to close them in, to listen to God, not the world, not what the media is saying, not what the world interests. So maybe I would answer the question by saying what we must not do is to try and engage in the world's politics of, will it be an African Pope? As for the church, there is segregation and they will never vote for an African Pope and all that politicking. No, I don't think it is necessary. If God has chosen one, it doesn't matter where he comes from, we would follow, and God's Spirit will guide his church. So for all who are both Catholics, non-Catholics, let us join in prayer. For Catholics, pray your rosary today, seeking the intercession of Mary, so that the Holy Spirit would aid the cardinals. For those who would attend Mass, for all priests who are listening, let us celebrate the Mass for the votive of electing a Pope, and so that the prayer for that day would be for the election, so that the cardinals would elect according to the will of God, not according to the will of man.
And in that regard, I guess we could all sing, "Come, Holy Ghost, Creator, come from thy bright heavenly throne."
Bright heavenly throne.
Thank you very much, Father, for joining the conversation. Father Emmanuel Salifu of the St. Patrick Catholic Church. He is the parish priest all the way in Atomic. We're grateful for your time, Padre. Thank you for joining.
Thank you very much.
And the processes will continue in the coming days, as has been the trend in the last maybe 2 decades and more. Within a few days, likely with the guidance of the Holy Spirit, those 133 to 135 cardinals will select a new holy pontiff of the Holy Roman Catholic Church. This has been a brief coverage of what is happening today. And of course, when we have a Pope, Abemus Papam, you will be the first to know right here on this channel. But from here, we cross over to the Obra spot. It's all about President John Dramani Mahama's 120-day social contract. You could call it the driver's verdict on the approach so far when it comes to President Mahama fulfilling what he said in his 120-day social contract. Adobia Benedicta Adobia Asare is on the beat at the Obra spot. Benedicta, take it away.
Today, our President John Dramani Mahama's 120-day social contract expires. He resumed office, and then before he resumed office, he promised that in the first 120 days, there's certain things he'll put in place. We are here at Circle Obra Sports to pick the brains of drivers here. What do they make of this contract, the social contract, and what's the assessment so far? What do they have to say about it? I have here with me,
A.K. Asoreba.
Michael Entry here. What else here first?
Joseph Lachu.
Joseph Pacho, and
my name is Kweku Ayonkura, A.K. Atakura.
Okay, so I'll start with you. What do you know about the 120-day social contract? Then I'll name Fahon. Yama Ben a president ne kai. What the obet me can be our contract nim.
I didn't meet me akafa and say better tax no you flew on the Abwa boys. So we did better. We be our when Juma ma no abete the ope. So I say, but we influence on the would depend over the wish you are there. We no be any problem be and no. Oba ne de ne mana course no. Oba no baby I ba ne mana course ne de. Mojidi say you for influence on the no I ne ma bebli abwa is oba no fuel no ne man to men course rubi dollar no what so. Ana fuel no so baby e da na e da. So I say first no na do te so na de be chan de be se bia na ne ma akosoro And about they say 5 cedi, other bet no say 10 cedi, other bet almost say 15 cedi. But I say I know buy and the general falcon say 1 cedi, there be they say 1 cedi. You know, kakra be made me a canon.
Now one kasa bet no wait trebi.
Bet no they be trebi. Bet no me try no matter, but I see no. Me try Saturday no cry me 500 BD. Me share my day. Obia me tell me 1 cedi kula.
O patch say 120-day contract near a here wo money betting tax no you free mono because aboa.
They here wo money betting tax no, but I see no. They here wo money betting tax no. Nti na me de etimi aboa me. But my car na me name dey almost so almost no obi answer na pe bet no. Nti obu o wa me aboa me obu o nso ayemo na nti no. Dey no.
So, according to him, in the 120-day social contract, President John Dramani Mahama promised to cancel or scrap off the betting tax. And that's what he's excited about, because since the betting tax was scrapped off, he's been betting and he's been winning, he's been collecting his wins without any deductions. And then he believes that he's been performing well so far as a president. After spending about 3 months in office, he's been able to address certain issues. He talked about fuel prices, the fact that they've been stabilized, and he says that the economy is quite stable, and that's what excites him about this whole 120-day social contract. So we move to Mr. Michael, right? Yes, 120-day social contract. Now, how do you understand it? And nyama be woman president na ya ujidi say boa, and then our kafa ho generally.
So far the media me hu hwe ami hu ye ne say or Shebo campaign time say obey my 24-hour economy. Obey betting tax free ho. Obey e-levy free ho. E-levy no. Me send ma sika ma obi. Nti obi anteme. Nti ano nya mfa so de ma me. Betting tax me ntwa bet. Me ntwa bet, me ntwa bi kura da. Nti so yifi wa nya mfa so de ma me. Kura na momu wo de sa momu no wo ye free momu na ye youth no bone. Say school for no SS boys na gas na bet na omutwa. Meanwhile nkwala na say troba kwampa woni afre no man papa. Nti akwala no ye gambling sa abre we a ba bia nduru a obedu obeye pipi. Nti nka me de me hu no kra say betting tax na enkosoro. Na nkwa because me ka say parliament fo nyina ye NDC both for mo increase ye say na be nkwala no ebeja atwa. And last minute omo mo de be propaganda dey politics against them. Nti say man nkwala no youth no mo say atwa. Ama youth no mo twa bet no too much. Ama mo twa. And as me large bill anu de metua bi every week bi metua 70 cedis. Enti senka large bill nka metua 50 and oba de metua 30 nka mebo na baso. But metua first metua 40. Na say metua 70. Cement na ye say na ye 90 cedis or the campaign say kufuado ama ye ntimi nto say cement ye 1.3.
Yebeba ehonom no but o de yebeba honom but mami hu offer 120-day social contract no some them say na expire then I work afa
me dey no kwanya me say wa ya de wa tita so che wa makroma ya ku senior o ye kura na wa nya hwe kura na ka wa tutu ne mam kura na ye ni je ho se ya enti me dey ma ho se o ya de enti on ko so yesa
me bisa say won say nyama bi wo ho a list waka say obeye nyama bebre mom de ba nyama bi wo ho a ohweda ka say obeye insa 120 days no then na wonim say why
wati football omuti tax na higher pa youth no de na higher because obeyiri ho akotwa bet kakra obenye di nza abaya atia na ha adwen enti eno awati wo ho no so eboaye
na ministers na wate so na nominate your montem no so eno uni hwe kafa
eno so ye ebema skano ama economy no so aye kama because skabe ko bi bottom pa na ye ble wo youth no ye ble de ene akaye wate so menya kura Asan Sante so biom ye from test Steven.
So this gentleman here also is reiterating the issue of the betting tax. He says in all the things John Dramani Mahama, President, His Excellency, said he was going to do in 120 days. What really was important for him was the betting tax, the abolishment of the betting tax, and that's what he's just elaborated. We'll go back to Michael. He was saying something over there. Let's hear you.
And I'm say promise or promise, you know. 11 years are betting tax, and I'm just a mimi nyebi. Until come about like bird, you meet.
I won't say aside 11 betting tax, Jamaica not in Kofo ni more, but our minister Swan Samson a bear, send your yeah or
wait. Committees ya watete no emru ministers no committee no omko sit omunya allowance committee bia wati bia so omko sit omunya allowance nti emru ministers no aburu also be 24-hour economy obey 3 shift say me driver ni a me pon me koba me fama me mienu no so nto aso so what ase here oba ese ya fan crofo adwuma mu ti san crofo no obe yi wo mu free adwuma mu no 24-hour economy no omde omunya Ghana fo adwuma ben ana obe bia fa san crofo ben na fe odo be sa 24-hour economy kan kroma ye hu okro we mu
Mate wasio ba ye ka 120 day contract
anya hwe 120 days wo de be yi crofo adi crofo ma me ne crofo papa wa be yi wo mu adi so mo tena fe ma kom ne ye omoma mi wa yi me ma me ne papa adi adwuma mu ase anya obi na adom me a nka metifie nka na krono no mebo enti bet na wo tom na krono no wo kire mo bo because me nya adwuma nya America se me kwa gambling onko asole mama onko asole ministers ni nyina onko asole
into who saying you were in support of the betting tax one
nya kase na youth ni nyai na youth ni say and now no baba kwa da fie no ofafo no twa bet
into no person oteso be percentage saying
what there so
like betting tax no
50% kwanto so na obi ntwa kura no obi ntwa and I won't stop on Ghana ha no ye hypocrite ukwa abrochire na udi bet na yante ukwa bisa papa watu kwanda abrochire ni ho ewo ho ba kro wem ye hypocrite ana o man bia ye nyeto no man be dan akoso Ghana ye jeto kwa na dasan ye nyeto kra hwa opa di machine akwa akwa ball etimu ha ye tua ka wo station ha pa obi ya corrupt okro wem enti ade be ball man ye sapa be ball man no wo de ba memepe de amu o man mi tiri we ye bomb youth no for my say youth and upomu edwadu anyimle ball be 3 a kodankwa kolabadi alonte ba ho kwahwe school fu esam ho omo ma me no papa mo ma mo sika so mo fa mfruka o be bet ni ti omo di twa bet eti no anante ana ogina kwan ho no wo pa che o se obi mfa no kofie free sabi nipa na opa no cha kwotena ne kam no ni nipa na tap o ye eti sa sika ni na no obi be ma ne ba sika se fa ko school no wo de ase ne botom wo de be twa bet
unim say in the 120 day social contract no oka say obeche free o baba
me wo mama 6
free sanitary pad
free education ye ebi mu wo ho a omo betimi atua what you say free education no ebi mu wo ho
enti make sanitary pad
so make wasem wo say free education obi wo ho betimi atua ma ne ba enti o so mutua na pad obi ntimi nto ma ne ba pad ne boy say 18 cedis me wo mama 6 me first one 25 years every month bia me to obi ade enti obi abehwe me ba school awie common pad ne ntimi nto na wo dia pad na wo to no mema man wo to pad na ma omo e mema no so e kan we so free education no e kan ma ne mema nyina ba pad no man kwa na wo de ma wo
na say man kwa na
de no wo yema mema so ade no wo yema mema onya hu mum yanka no kura ma ye ho pad 18 cedis me wo mama 6
enti
wo mama 6 mama nya
enti 120 days social contract no
me dia me hu hwe dokono no egusu gina 5 cedi ho dokono no egusu gina 5 cedi lag bell akona nim na wo ye ball aketwa bi ba omo ba so omo be fa omo gi 10 cedis and 15 cedis ye mfa ball 5 cedis ye mfa ball 5 cedis enso salman nyina wo kae cement ayasan ete Ghana nante Ghana ni nyina so kae na cement ye 1.3 what you say enti media mi hu hwe
okay what fa then I fa
me so kakra me wo kan say me de ne ha me ne yan drovers ye bre pa ebi wo a obekọ fu ye tum adeche ya ateso ochina ya tum
one
drivers no yan tu yan pay ye fa no so man up to now 50 nana de dan kwa so yes ye beto fam up to now ye hu hwe enti ye bre drivers ye bre pa
wofa pacho 120 day social contract no won say okanye me bia osi obeye in 120 days time then na wayama wa aso weni e wo sa nyama no promise ye no.
Oh, okay. Say mean to me can say bia wa ye say ana say bribi sa.
Okay, we yi betting tax, we yi COVID, we yi taxes ni bi. And now was started some initiative of giving out sanitary pad. The ministers no what so and no nominate your own terms. Anya man na okaso obeye no. Why ye nti then na work found.
Oh, what the meto maka kakra say why ade. Na momo no me mama na mre kakra e de aka ho sene be ya ono so obabo na wo de na mo ministers ne MPs no kasi akese ne ade na omo de dam no omo njai me ya ho to ya kakra
Pacho yet wafa Pacho one nyama no o promise here no 120 days na air so ene enye nyina na etu ma ba mom de but asa wo no weni nje hwe ho adentia
me de anye ho ne say 120 days na o promise here na o say betting tax no so wo twa bet de eyema ho na me twa bet
aside bet no other things now why no hu ne say
live no me send sika ma obi ni ateme enti de o send sika eyema no me so me nya business bia ma send sika me tu wey me ma me atema me nya me 20 cedi bia me de ama no send ye je free so ye nta hwim free so but ma me ka sem ba ko de ekun o ma we me ye yakwadwofo e na ono papa na kasa na wa ba no so sa de akwadwo ba wura emu mo e bi ko e tira say what the holidays in ye ba ko o de me no kama na me ensa o san say wo ba wo yira wo na wo yire wo a wo ma me ni papa ni wo enso wo be ma na sa tina hwehwe wo yire enne meti kwa pon adwuma ji 200 cedis a day no de akwa wetra mo ne red ne wi ene jot wa mo bla no de kwase obi media mi mblemu obi a o but me politician ti me nya hwe ma me eye bible kra kan wasi.
Welcome back to the AM show. Now let's talk about financing immunization advocacy response. And it's a project that the Ghana Health Service has partnered with Hope for Future Generations for. In the studio with me to get the details out is Mrs. Eunice Joan Tia Jagli. She's Regional Health Promotion Officer at Ghana Health Service. And then Dr. Mrs. Nancy Ansakoba. She's Director of Programs, Hope for Future Generations. Welcome to the program. Let me start with you, Mrs. Koba. Tell us a little bit about Hope of Future Generations and this wonderful project you've got coming on.
Thank you very much and good morning. Hope for Future Generations is a national level, non-governmental, not-profit organization, not-for-profit organization. We work to improve the health, education, and socio-economic status of women, children, and then young people. And when you look at what we do, and we look at health, and we look at children, we look at women, then definitely we'll be talking about immunization. And this morning, our key interest is financing immunization advocacy response project. And also, like, we will also look at the immunization week. But then the financing immunization advocacy response project has three main objectives. The first objective is to advocate for increased domestic resource mobilization for immunization. As we know, or as we may already be aware, some part of our immunization is financed by donors. Right. But it's important that we increase our own domestic resource mobilization because by 2030, Gavi, the main donor, will exit and we will need to look at it.
All right.
Before
we continue the conversation, I want to bring in Mrs. Tia Jagli in the conversation as well so that we can all talk about the important details. You're from the Ghana Health Service and you've partnered with Hope for Future Generations on this wonderful project. What's the intention behind this partnership from your end?
Thank you. Good morning to your cherished listeners. We, as Ghana Health Service, have the mandate to ensure that every child is immunized against all vaccine-preventable diseases. So our partnership with Hope for Future Generation is to ensure that during this period, that's the last week of April, where we observe and commemorate African Vaccination Week, and the first week of May, where we also do Child Health Promotion Week, and they are talking about immunization. How do we get these commodities? We are talking about come out and ensure your child is immunized against the vaccine-preventable diseases. You monitor the growth of your child. you ensure that your nutrition is well enough to give the child the best of growth. We give counseling for you to know what you should do for your child to have the best of growth mentally, physically, and then emotionally.
Okay.
So we do all this. That is to be sustained with financing. So that is where the hope for future generation comes in to ensure that the needed financing is secured for us to have all we need to be able to offer these services to our clients at the right time in the right quantity.
Does it mean that we have challenges with financing when it comes to immunization? Because I'm looking at the theme for this year, and you say it is immunization for all is humanly possible. But the broader project is financing immunization advocacy response. Is there a gap in the financing? Yeah.
Yes, there is a gap. And that brings me to the second objective of the FAIR project, that usually release for immunization financing delays. You know, the government is supposed to release its co-financing obligation, and the arrangement is that by the end of the first quarter of the year, these co-financing obligations should have been fulfilled so that vaccines could be procured. But there are delays usually, and when the delays happen, it means that vaccines cannot be procured in time. These are also issues we look at. We are also looking at having enough domestic resources so that by the time that Gavi will exit by 2030, Ghana can achieve vaccine sovereignty. That is that we are able to take care of all the financial needs of our vaccine. So these are some of the key issues that we are looking at. And this morning, we would like to call on decision makers to ensure that co-financing obligations are paid. The money that should be paid is paid so that we can procure vaccines and ensure the immunization of our Ghanaian children.
Okay.
This is critical.
It's a great call, really, and I hope that all the appropriate authorities and bodies, and even philanthropists, can come to your aid when the time arises. And Mrs. Jagli, let's talk about the uptake of vaccination in the country. What is the response? You say that this is the last week, or this is the week for immunization. Tell us about exactly what's happening, the details, and how people are receiving your message so far.
Thank you. Vaccination is year-round activity. That a child under 5 years must get all the 14, as at now we have 14 vaccine-preventable diseases that children are being immunized for. And the month of April, the last week, and the first week of May, as I mentioned, are just set aside to advocate and then mobilize, sensitize people to know the importance of these services.
So it's not like you're vaccinating this week.
No.
You're just advocating, creating awareness, sensitizing the populace.
And then in addition to the advocacy and then mobilizing people, we also look at places where it has been difficult to reach people, maybe people in ghetto who not come out for regular immunization. Those hard to reach community, we identify them. We make ourselves available to them at their places so that whatever vaccines their children have missed in their age group is provided, and those who have not had the opportunity to do the growth assessment, all the services that they are supposed to do at the place we call weighing for children is also offered to them at wherever they are. Those are the mining areas where parents feel they are too busy to take them out for vaccination. We reach out to all these people to provide them the needed services. And it is all to help us to reduce the mortality and morbidity among children under 5 years, and as such help to build a healthy community where the government and we, the individual, will not spend money and other resources to manage diseases that
are
could have been prevented.
Great point. So, I mean, I know you said that the main purpose of you coming here is to reach out to those financing. But this week, whilst we are sensitizing, creating awareness on vaccination, Mrs. Koba, what is the core message that you'd like our audience to take away from? And this is the final take. We have to go.
Okay, that our message will be to our decision makers that we should pay our co-financing obligations of about $70 million should be paid so that we can procure vaccines. And government should also even plan ahead to be able to pay our co-financing a year ahead so that we can plan and ensure that all our children are safe.
Thank you so much. Mrs. Eunice Joan Tia Jagli is with the Ghana Health Service, and we also have Mrs. Well, let me take that again. Dr. Mrs. Nancy Ansakoba is Director of Programs, Hope for Future Generations. And then we also have from the Ghana Health Service, Mrs. Eunice Tia Jagli. She's Regional Health Promotion Officer at the Ghana Health Service. Thank you, ladies, for coming, and I wish you the very best.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Well, while we wrap up this conversation, we are bringing you AM Business, and today we are talking about iron ore. All the details in this report.
Deep in the heart of Ghana's Oti region, a discovery is turning heads and stirring hope. Iron ore, a key raw material for industrial development, has been found in commercially viable quantities, positioning this rural enclave as Ghana's potential next mining frontier.
But we've come to realize that it's not any problem at all. It's not a galamsey something or this actual mining. And it has not happened anywhere in Ghana. But this is the first time that they are starting. So we are very happy to know that in every mining area, the miners try to help the community develop it. So we are also looking forward to see some development in the community as soon as they start the mining.
Driven by increasing global demand forecast to rise by 3% annually due to growth in construction and manufacturing, the search for iron ore is being spearheaded by the Ghana Integrated Iron and Steel Development Corporation, GISDEC, and its technical partner, Africa Exploration and Minerals Group. GISDEC is conducting feasibility studies and engaging stakeholders as government eyes a new era of industrialization driven by local mineral wealth. The exploration has focused on the Jamrome area within the Kajebi district since 2020. GISDEC report indicates that oxidized iron ore with iron oxide concentrations as high as 82%, translating to about 57% iron. On average, samples contain 67% iron oxide or approximately 47% iron content. Osaberima Osebones, the fifth paramount chief of the Asato traditional area, expressed support, noting the difference between their structured effort and illegal small-scale mining.
We are very cordial. They respect us, we also respect them. Anything that they will see over there, which is beating their mind, they come to us. We also help them in any way that we can. Yes.
So far, the exploration process has included remote sensing and geophysical surveys. From 54 initially identified targets, AEMG narrowed down 11 key drilling zones. Drilling began in mid-2024, with 8 of the planned 30 drill holes already completed. The full drilling program spans 15 drill lines, covering approximately 2,500 meters. Completion is expected by June 2025, followed by a detailed resource estimate by September 2025. Geologist Professor Frank Yame on ESPAT said the prospect for iron ore industry is positive.
It was an initial geological work, we call mapping. So we walked all these places, and then you look at the rock. So you find this rock here, you put it on the paper, on the map. You find it there, you put on a map. You find it here, put on a map. If you go down slope, you may not see this one there. Is that okay? You may rather see a different type. So once you have marked your zone, Then the next thing is, we know it occurs on the surface. Does it occur at depth? Does it occur at depth? So that is the next thing that you do. So this one that we call the drill core, or the hole, you put it in there to investigate, to check whether what you are seeing on the surface also occurs at depth. Is that okay? So as for this one, the first hole, they could have done it anywhere, but they chose this point because the rock is just exposed here. Okay. You see it? Which contains iron? Yes, this is the iron-bearing rock. You see, what you saw in the course, this is just the iron-bearing rock. You see? So, with all the features. Okay, so the initial work through the bush and everything gave you that. So now you only go in there and then you can decide. They could have put it 100 meters away, 200 meters away. But sometimes for convenience. So we look at where you think it would be good, you make the assets, and then you start. Is that okay? Having known that this thing occurs on the surface, at the end of the drilling, you would also know the depth at which it goes. Is that okay? And then you also know the width. Is that okay? How it stretches in terms of the width. Okay? So based on the surface, this thing, and then the drill hole, you can then estimate the ore body like this, and then you can estimate the volumes. Then you can take samples and analyze. Then you will know the chemical composition. Because what occurs on the surface, what shows that the same thing occurs below. If we have iron here of about 60-70%, what shows that at depth is still 60 or 70. You understand? So these things will serve to control. Is that okay? You may get it on the surface, but
folks, thank you so much for staying with us today for the Wednesday edition of the AM show. Coming up next, we serve you Joy News Desk with Mamiesi Nyamiche Thompson. It's bye from now, me and Benjamin Akapu. We see you tomorrow. Bye.